Next time
Yeah, but when will this be released then?
Don't know.
You don't know.
Depends on who you talk to.
Oh.
If you talk to the developers, I'll share everything with you. I don't know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say.
I'll take that and put it in on Dan's desk. I'll print out some agendas for everybody.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'll go down with you and check my mailbox while I'm here.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Oh, it's totally
Better.
fine.
Better?
Ended up in the ER on
Why?
anaphylactic shock.
From what?
I got a bee sting right there on Sunday,
Oh my gosh.
and it swelled up to here, and by Monday evening it was up here.
Wow.
And then I went to bed. I woke up and I could feel it all the way.
Oh my gosh.
Have you ever been stung before?
Nope, it's not like this.
Wait,
And so I woke Julie up. I said I gotta go to the doctor because I can't.
Yeah. Oh, scary.
So it happened so
now you
fast.
have one of those,
Now,
And how we at?
yep, I gotta carry that all the time now.
Wow.
Because the doctor said
That
this.
must be
Wow.
What do they do?
That was
for you?
life-changing.
Huh? They give you
They shot me with
Baby was a horse.
epinephrine right away in the ER. And then they hooked me up with,
so it's a good thing you went
yeah, and then they hooked me up with a heart monitor to see what's going on.
in. Wow.
No, I didn't look.
Yeah, tell
You
me.
know, you never know. If
Yeah.
you've never been stung
No.
before.
Not too
You don't know.
And I didn't think it was gonna be a big deal, and it just kept migrating.
It says,
Yeah.
that it is
Wow.
stocked.
That
Well,
was
I'm
a-
glad you're doing okay.
I feel better.
That's what it says. And
I'm
then
doing slow and steady because
Yeah.
it says,
all the prednisone and all the other stuff.
Wow.
Isn't that nice?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I always like that.
stocking this.
Is this for me?
It's for you.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna
Yeah.
share that with some of the family.
Yeah,
Very
I
nice.
mean,
Thank you.
you know, we talked about signs.
Yes.
and-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a neat little way of
Yeah.
looking at things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We just did a couple months ago, we did more rashes.
I think so because I think
They had a cabinet. So we
Nice.
took
So how's
the
Chris and everybody and Heather and everybody?
Doing all right.
Good.
Yeah.
I think Wakefield.
And now we're concerned because Grants isn't done good, so he had, I haven't heard if he had testing done today. Some sort of heart test to see
I believe
if
they're
his heart is
officially
open and
stocked
he had to have
by
kidney surgery.
Fisherman's
But
Club.
he's been having shortness of breath, like we took him out 2 weeks after we did that, we took him out to lunch
I
and
was still.
he could barely walk, and I mean, he also had quadruple bypass 2 years ago, so we're kinda like, okay.
I mean,
We've never into that crazy time.
older years. Yeah.
I married Diana in
That,
Van
and
Street.
maybe that won't be the case, hopefully not.
And it was two,
but-
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
two,
So we're going up
July.
next week and
I'm
we're
They got me back.
Oh, they'll never forget that.
Does he have family at all up there?
No, we want to know. Grantsburg isn't that far, but it's too
Yeah.
far
You
enough.
can bring them down here.
Eventually, he's
Yeah.
like,
Thank you, dear.
He probably doesn't
it's
want
too
to leave
new right
though.
now, yeah,
Yeah.
When I was still on.
so we are, but we have the same cabin trip coming up August 14th for the week, so that'll be nice to meet them.
Yeah.
We got more people coming.
How are you? You had
Oh, wow.
Well, I had, how the DD and I went into both my lungs.
Hey,
Hey,
can hold. Very good show.
yeah, I mean, whatever.
Greg, you know,
So,
Greg, grab the
yeah, I'm
chair.
on blood thinners and everything's good. Yeah.
Are we all gonna be
Hi
on the
there.
same issue, or are
Welcome.
we all gonna be different issues?
Oh, you know, I had to
Well, on Casey Lake,
yeah.
different parts of it, but Casey Lake.
Okay, I will have you sign in then. I'll just pass my board around.
Okay.
And then I'll just note that it's all for Casey Lake.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Sounds like I'm better than you.
I'm like, no,
Yeah.
we're the Christmas.
So do
I'll get
they
better.
possibly have another?
A little red.
Yeah, I mean, they still don't know what last night.
Hopefully that sun's not
I mean, I
there.
went through all the tests and,
Right there by the main.
yeah,
The
so.
both sides.
Center and
Wow.
the jail used to be there
I like what
downtown.
my, whatever, what my grandma wears, but they're not too bad.
No, it was.
Oh, summer, what are you gonna wear?
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like a good
Did you wanna see if
Yeah.
you can aesthetics
No,
of the lake?
Oh, yes.
If you wanna say that, it's up to you.
Yeah.
A little change. I run that computer, that's kind of, no.
This
How are you doing, buddy?
couple, like, in the truck and then
I should probably get your emails, so if we're gonna do something
Hi.
in the
I see
future.
Paul all the time, you guys go over
Are you Jim by any chance? Nice to meet you. I'm Lisa Ritchie.
Oh,
Yes.
and to you, okay.
I understand you talked with Carrie
Uh,
this afternoon?
Yep.
Okay, great.
He really likes it.
So, yeah, she and I, well, we're working together at St. Peter's too.
Oh, sure, sure.
But I think
Yeah, she was first one that tipped me off about that change in the meeting, but then Lloyd also said it.
anyway,
Good.
and they need a nice
doesn't happen
truck
right away,
to,
does it?
so that might become a company
Oh,
truck.
yeah.
And he's got his,
Yeah, I know where others at the city.
yeah, I don't know why he has it, he doesn't let me drive it.
There's money in the bank, so
Yeah.
And he does work for,
And now you can deal with it
They go
now,
into
somebody's
change
gonna
the
grab
car
one right away.
yeah.
People keep asking, have you got a neighbor? Her son bought a house by us, the pink doll house is what we call it.
by Kate.
You don't have to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
That's how, turn by the pink doll house.
I'm sure he's
All the
gonna,
time, and my sister
it's
goes,
just
well, I think we
everything
should
else.
go to Norman.
Oh, yeah.
He's
You
waiting
go over
for-
there, you take care of it all.
Oh, yeah.
You give us all the
It'll be
money that we're
drastically
gonna take,
different.
and you
He's
can have the
talking
rocket.
about
The rest of it.
Oh, no.
A waiver.
Yeah, no wonder I like that.
Yeah, it's
Oh, wait,
not
that's
gonna
gonna
be him. No, and it's.
It'll be
kind of
sad
a-
though, everyone,
I see,
we should find out, like, I don't know.
No, you can tell.
Is that phone number you put down the
Yeah.
second? The one that I'm calling, is that your cell or is that your landline?
I see that.
But then
It's-
also-
And
These
one
are
of those wood
Because
niggers
I
on the
just
window
sent
with the shutters.
text messages to it. What's the email?
I think he's gonna do like shiplap in there
Oh.
or
Refund,
wood.
like
No,
$20, my
something
brother
like
got.
that. That's
He goes,
why-
what are you gonna do with this?
Otherwise,
Yeah.
I mean, scorching
Oh,
it.
just go to the game and buy it here.
Oh my gosh, he's got
Well, that's the thing, they did all the houses in that
And that was about it. Once you get all the insurance.
I don't have to walk and do my house.
I'll send you a note, then you know what mine is.
But I have a.
Okay, that'd be great.
Trust you.
Yeah.
So, there's properties involved, and farm involved.
Sex like that.
Well, at first they were, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like, the first thing we're gonna do is change that.
my wife.
Yeah.
So you have that conversation.
Yeah.
Whatever. Do you know what?
Well,
That
you
was
can see what-
that was 24 years?
It just kind of
Play
grows
with
on
it.
you,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
it?
and there's one.
Just fine, how about you?
That's a lot.
She's entitled to have.
So, it's kind of nice. Oh, should I pass this
Yes,
around?
pass it around.
If I get hit by a bus tomorrow.
More humidity.
She can marry another guy, she dies.
Nice.
Are you on the board there? Are you on the board?
Oh, then you
Yeah,
gotta fix it.
it was.
I think the city's doing a great job there at Casey Lake.
They're just easy listening names. Just-
I really
You
do.
look,
I
the
think
crowd, the crowd was kind of mellow, but it's just really.
fields are beautiful, guys work hard, cutting
Next month,
grass.
Uncle's down.
We walk around twice a day, so.
Or
I'm gonna make a note of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
compliments to them, my boys, the crew.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, they,
I like, yeah, it was nice. I like it.
We have the trees all trimmed up.
they clean up the garbage right away. And 4th of July was just a mess, but by noon, they had it all cleaned up.
But that's good for you, you don't know.
Was it 3 years ago?
They
got
work
married
on
and
Sunday
dinner
mornings,
there at
they
Casey's,
come
so
and
they're like, this is-
clean out the barrels Sunday morning. I mean, that's
Every year, I'm like, well,
You ready, Lisa?
nice to see.
I'm ready when you are.
All right, we're open to the public. Thanks for coming. You got all their names and everything?
They're signing in,
Okay.
yeah?
I think you can
So,
start the name.
I'm gonna open it up to
Oh, yeah.
whoever, one person doing the lead.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll do
go
that,
ahead.
because I asked Jim Selshow, 2590 Diane Street, which is, if you don't know where Diane is, it tees right into County Road C at Casey Lake. So I'm about a quarter of a block away from the lake. And these are my neighbors, Joel, I'll tell you a little about them in a minute. But anyway, the reason I wanted to come here, Lord, I did have one question before I get on something else. Did we get any feedback on the roots that are heaving up on the path on the west side of the lake over there?
Lisa?
There was a lot of lumps on that, remember? We talked about that
I
last
made
time?
note of that, but I did not get feedback yet. So
Yeah.
are you looking to have those removed?
Well, yeah, it goes like this here, and I think anybody, walking it's not so bad, but if somebody who's on a skateboard or rollerblades or anything like that, you could take a pretty good header.
Okay,
So look,
so,
this is about a 100-foot stretch
Yeah.
that goes around that curve on the west end of the lake. And
Okay.
they're heaved up, I don't know, what, 3
Yeah.
inches or better?
I know
Greg, you
they're,
know better than anybody, you see
they're
it.
aware of it. What that would require, I'm
Focus.
assuming they would have to tear out the sidewalk and then cut those out and then replace the
That's
sidewalk.
exactly right. That's
So
what
we'll
we
have
require.
to, that would have to get into the capital improvement plan for a
That's fine.
project like
Do
that.
what you gotta do,
Okay, and
because
so,
it should be attended to. I
okay,
think that's the worst spot that I've come across.
okay.
That's
So that'll
great.
just be a matter of, time to get that through the system
That's fine, I
then?
understand.
Because I know they're already in, they've started the PIP, for next year, but we'll definitely, I'll bring this, that we wanna get it in the works for the CIP.
And you
Okay.
got
Whether
Heather's,
it's-
you got Heather's and Sarah's and, besides mine, and Larry's, emails?
No, I don't,
Okay.
addresses, you mean the email
No,
address?
email addresses.
No, I do not.
Okay. I'll send them.
Yeah, send, well,
they're
you got,
the-
you can send me, because I'm on your email list.
Yep,
Send them
I'll
across
send them,
if you
because
like.
they're the liaisons, you can work with me and you work with them, whichever,
Okay.
but we have
And
liaisons.
Larry.
City employees?
No, they're
Park
just
board.
park
On the park commission.
liaisons.
Oh,
Each
okay.
of us has different parks.
Okay. I'll put what park they're responsible for then after their name, so I know.
Yep.
Well, those are your Casey Lake
Oh, 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 oh,
representatives.
Casey, okay, wonderful.
You're both
So-
cases.
Well, anyway, has anybody been around Casey lately? You've walked it, you can see what's happening? Okay.
bad.
Well, I've been reading some of the articles which Gary was kind enough to dig out. And of course, the average depth on a good day is 3.5 feet. So of the entire lake. So right now, as you can tell, it's down a foot, so we're probably down to 2.5 feet. And as you can see, as far as out, you can see it's muck. Okay. So well, really, the bottom line here is I want the commission's support and to approach the watershed district and the DNR to do a study to see what we can do to permanently improve the quality of the lake. It's not really a lake, it's kind of like a swamp, if you will. Now, we understand that the water level is low, that's a given, and then we understand they can't cut it because the water level is low. However, even when the water level was at its quote-unquote normal thing, even then you probably only had about this much, water over some of the areas. And after cutting, then it would grow back in a matter of what, 2 weeks? Then the surface was totally covered again. So it doesn't appear that just waiting for the water level to get up and to cut it maybe twice a summer is a solution. That's not the long-term solution. We've got to have something, make it deeper, make it get the gunk out of there, do something that is lasting. Then you get into the fish issue. They've stocked that, Gary's done some research, and they're stocking that thing almost annually. And they just did an audit the other day, for those of you who don't know, outfit called carpsolutionsminnesota.com. And Gary and I were there when they did their audit. So they've put out 5 fish traps. Today is what, Wednesday? Monday. They put them on, they put them back, brought them back in Tuesday. And so they'll get a census now on how many fish are in there. But my feeling is that in the winter, when your water is only this deep, it's probably killing off the majority of them anyhow. So the dock is pretty much useless because nobody can fish from it anyhow. Anyway, that's pretty much the main thing is I think we just want to try to get the ball rolling to try to move this to an upper level, because we do know that the water district and the DNR are the ones that really control, they're the leads on this stuff, and they've got the science and the money and the people and everything else. So whatever we can do to push it up the ladder, I think that's what we should do. It's not gonna happen fast, we all know this, but we've been living, I've been there now for 25 years, and so is actually these folks as well, if not longer. And so we need a better solution than what we're doing now, because it's not working.
Is there a cost involved in it?
Yes.
You bet.
And I can comment a little bit on this, because this was brought up in our last meeting, so I did reach out to the watershed district, and Carrie and I are working on a plan. What she is going to do is she's actually going to get the watershed district into City Hall here, so that we can all communicate the same message, and they can tell us what they can and what they can't do. We currently have two plans in place. One is the aeration of the lake, and then the other one is, what usually happens in the fall, but they can't do now because of the low water levels. And this isn't, what they told me is, this is not just Casey Lake, this is happening everywhere because of the conditions that we're under,
Casey, I
unfortunately.
think is kind of an exception, but yeah.
Sure, okay.
'Cause it's so shallow. I mean,
So
The
we're
real problem that
certainly,
they've got is that they've let too much water out. They're not letting the water stay there anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I have some pictures of what the lake looked like 10 years ago after we had a big rain. And if
Okay.
anybody wants to look at those,
Does that have anything to do with the same thing that White Bear Lake experienced?
That was a flood
Okay.
right over the path.
Okay.
you-
Well, like I said, we're
What
gonna
they
bring the
did is
watershed
froze it
district in
out.
here because they're the experts. And, you
They're the
know,
ones that caused it.
okay,
I agree.
The
But
water
listen,
level, if you've got a third of the water you used to have, the algae grows a lot quicker in that much water. And if they would put the water level back, it would make a big difference.
Well, I think we're gonna have to make the lake deeper too, somehow we have to.
Well,
yeah,
part of the
to hold
problem
it.
is they've let the lake level get down too far. It should be
Yeah.
about 3.5 feet on the west side there. That was what it always was.
But, you know, in the long run, it affects, everybody that uses it, sees it, affects property values, all that other stuff that goes along with it. I mean, it's just the common sense.
When I first noticed, it was when we built this beautiful new facility. That whole summer we were working on it, we would look out on the lake. That's when I first, I'm sure it had been going on
That
before.
was the first year after.
Was
they-
that the first
after-
year it was really
after they
bad?
changed the water
Oh,
flow.
okay, so that's.
Because that was the winter
it was
before they
built
froze out the
in-
carp.
Whenever we.
And the carp
I just
was
remember
big.
that summer,
2012 was
like,
the driver, that was the driver behind it.
just going, what's wrong
And
with
that's
this lake?
the main thing, there's no carp in there to clean it up.
Yeah.
And I think the audit will show that, because when we were there, they didn't find any carp in their traps that we saw.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they're gonna
Well,
issue a
there wasn't a
report.
lot in there, there was roughly 200 to 300 in there originally.
What's that all?
Well, they told us there was 10,000. And they found out there was only 300. So I don't think it really knew what they were talking about.
So I don't know if I missed any of my main points here. Joe, did you wanna say, Joe walks his dog down there almost daily. Did you wanna say anything about the quality of the, what you can't do now that the lake is like it is?
Yeah. Hi, Joel Krenzel. I've been in North St. Paul here for
As long as
over
me.
30, but by case here for about 26 years, same as Jim. And like he says, now I'm retired, so I walk my pooch every day there. And that was a beautiful lake when I moved in, 1996 when we built our home there. That was one of the best things of the whole lake, or the whole park. And now it's the worst. I mean, it smells in the summertime. Come July and August, it's a cesspool. I mean, there's nothing. Your dogs can't swim in there at all anymore. People don't canoe, kayak, or anything. It just exists there. And like Jim said, when they cut it a couple times a year there, or during the summer, and it does no good. It's back within.
Well, they never get to the shoreline. The machine can't get to the shoreline.
I talked to those guys a couple of times. They say we have a couple days to do this, and apparently they don't think that's enough. And I don't know that stuff, but it doesn't seem to get it completely like you say.
Yeah, they did the
along
border and then it
shoreline,
just
so it
goes
starts
back
going
out.
back. But nobody can use that. I mean, nobody.
Yeah.
You can't. Your dogs can't go in there. They'll
It's
get
gross
sick,
looking.
and it stinks.
Yeah.
I mean, and like we said, that park is kept up immaculate. I'm always complimenting the guys there that are mowing.
Thank you.
That are doing all that stuff. I literally stop them and tell them that I can't believe how nice this park is. But I don't look over there.
We're lucky to
It
have
isn't just this year, correct?
No, I noticed that when they started taking the carp out. And then about 3 years after those carp were gone, that started clouding up with the algae. And every year since then, it's gotten worse and worse, to now where you can't even use it.
So it's my understanding we're already moving forward with this as a park commission, correct, Lisa?
yes, well, there's not a plan in place, but we're working with the watershed district. We've got the ball in motion, we're taking everything we can from them. We're gonna get them in here to educate us and answer your questions directly as far as what they can and can't do. And so, yes, we're moving forward with this issue, but there isn't something where I can come to you and say, this is what they're gonna do to take care of it.
Yeah, you just-
Can I ask a question? At that meeting, are they gonna be able to be in attendance so they
Sure.
can really voice their opinion? 'Cause I
Absolutely.
think that's very powerful. The people who live right there and
Yes.
have that concern.
That's what it's for.
Way more.
Well, Lisa, I would also say that if you're going to put on a notice on that, do it on your electronic weekly one.
Yeah.
And maybe also with them, because I'm not so sure how many people, do that, but also in your hard copy that comes with the power bill.
Oh, we don't do the hard copy anymore? We
At
haven't.
all?
No,
Or is it
not for,
not
not for a long
okay.
time. Carrie is our communications director, and she does all of the communications. It's all electronic now. She has,
Okay.
she updates our website daily, and the notifications go out on the Casey Lake sign.
Oh, fine.
And then anyone that has signed up for notifications with the city, they're notified by email.
Just one other thing that comes to mind is that it's not only if you're talking about wildlife down there, it's not only the fish, but if you, with all the weeds and algae and stuff along the shoreline, you don't see any blue herons anymore. There's no egrets because they can't even see where the little fish are. Otherwise, they'd be, we'd have a nice little healthy
Right.
wildlife going on down there. But that's gone. So I don't think it's coming back.
I've got a question, and it might be a dumb question, I don't know, I was just asking him, you had said once the carp were gone, that's when it started going down.
That seems to be.
Oh,
Does
sure,
the carp,
but-
does the
that's
carp
about-
do something as far
Carp are
as?
bottom feeders, and they keep that algae,
Clean out the bottom.
the
Okay,
weeds from
okay.
moving up.
But recall here's the reason. In 2012 is when they lowered the lake level and took all the carp out. Their concern was, and I was almost shocked to hear it, Casey Lake is considered the headwaters. And it leads through a creek that goes down, gets into Jarvis, gets into Keller, gets into Phelan, and they were concerned that the carp were getting through that whole chain and getting all into all those lakes. That's why they took the water level down and got the carp up. And of course, the carp are like little pigs. They go on the bottom and knock up all the weeds, and that's what was keeping it clean. No carp, and now there's no carp, and the weeds are going crazy. There's a beautiful report written on it that actually Gary dug it out and sent it to me. And if anybody likes, we can forward it to you also. It pretty much tells the history of it. It's very clear, it's very good, very comprehensive.
Yeah, if you want to forward it to me, I can forward that on to the watershed district.
And you can
Here's
then
Facebook,
distribute
if you
it.
could send that to me, that'd be great.
Larry, do you have any idea how deep the lake is now? Like in the middle?
They said originally there was a 20-foot spot, but there's probably about 15 now.
Oh, it's like
12.
four
Does get that,
Just a
okay.
hole out there,
Yeah.
that was left, and that's where they got all the carp out.
Oh,
Oh, that's what they
There was
did.
just one spot that was.
because I watched the ducks, and were they about 12 inches long, and they go in, if they're eating off the bottom, there's only 6 inches.
They're feeding off.
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I was
Not
gonna
it
say
can't
the
be 6
notice,
inches way out there.
About 3
the
feet
information
there.
that,
That was the normal lake level all the time, was about 3 feet there.
yeah, that's what is, the information that was brought up. It's 3.5 feet deep, maximum depth.
Yeah, that's.
These
Average,
pictures
average,
are all taken
Well,
the year
maximum.
That's what the
before.
DNR.
Yes,
They took the carp out.
yes.
They were all taken in July of 2011.
Jim, you're kind of the spearhead, right?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Can you leave Sarah, she's the other Casey Lake, and Larry, and Heather, leave your email to one of them, and so they can get the email loop going,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
by all means, you can email me all you want. But, you can also email them, and they can keep you in the loop. Lisa, would it be practical to email one of them all this information, and then they
We had
can
just had like
forward it to the other
2 or
two
3 inch rain,
When
but
we
this
get
was
some
the middle of
update?
July in
from
2011.
the watershed?
Yeah, if you want it via email, I can do
Actually,
that.
before the-
Does that work for you guys? Okay.
Okay.
So what's the plan?
So the plan will be, get your email to Larry.
We have
Sarah.
it here on the,
Yeah.
we have it here. So I
Oh,
will
well,
forward
that's
you
on the
guys their email
Yeah,
address.
I don't really feel like I can contribute much if it's gonna go between the city and the watershed, you know what I mean?
So at least
It
you
is.
I just wanted to have you.
Yeah, and
You guys
or
have a
here's
loop
the other
for your
option,
liaisons.
I can keep you in the loop
Yeah,
in
you
our
can just
regular
CC
meetings,
us,
which is
yeah.
standard.
I think that's fine. I know from our experience with dealing with the watershed, like it's like that lake becomes property of something that we have no control over.
Right.
The city can be a admin in between the two, but in all of our experience, even to put a dock on that lake was a lot of work, even for us paying for it, so. But I think if the city's gonna if you guys are gonna reach out to the watershed.
Yeah,
let
we'll
us
be the
know.
liaison, and
I
then I
don't
can,
know that I'm gonna be much help if the city's really gonna have to step in here and be the
yeah.
liaison between.
It's the watershed district and the DNR that have control.
Yeah.
Lisa, is
But
there a
the
way,
city-
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
is there a way to, have a sort of deadline that we propose to them or something, just so that there's some time frame in which to do this?
NARCA does things on
I can
Yeah, they do.
Is there a way we can like propose something?
propose a deadline for
A
and,
meeting.
and,
The-
a
the
meeting?
beginning of this, you know,
Oh,
the
well,
very-
let me just get the meeting date that you'd like to propose, and I'll propose that.
Oh, there we go. It depends on you know, city staff who would be there and.
I think you're gonna need to do it during the day so that you can
Yeah.
actually get the appropriate people at the watershed and then they don't have to take extra time after.
Well, that, we'd have to do it when the residents can be
Yeah.
there.
Is there a possibility to attend during the day?
Everybody's retired.
We got that's why we're here. We got nothing.
Okay, so a daytime hour would work,
That
okay,
works.
perfect.
Yeah.
That just might speed things along.
Yeah.
So what I need is, these are all, people are all new to me, so if somebody could send me their names and email address and what their role is.
Sure.
So I kind of conform.
Yep, this is the Park and Recs Commission.
Oh,
Got that
my
part.
bad.
Yep,
But now we talked about some just
Yeah.
dealing with Casey Lake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
so
oh,
let me-
they're
let me go
assigned
back.
a
I'm gonna
different
take,
part.
I'm gonna take the responsibility for that. That was my bad. So, Larry, go ahead and introduce yourself, Heather, and then Sarah. Just introduce yourself.
Larry Amston, I live on Buell. Just-
You live where, Larry?
I live on Buell,
Okay.
just on the north side of the park.
Park commissioner.
I'm on the park.
Okay.
Oh, we do. I'm Heather Oz. I live 2 doors down from Larry on Buell.
What's your first name?
Heather
Heather.
Oz.
and what lakes are, or what parks are you guys assigned to?
Casey?
Both Casey, okay.
So I think we're just talking about Casey.
Casey.
And then just in case, yeah.
And I'm Sarah Zarodka and I live on Flanders, but I'm on the Park Commission and I oversee Casey as well. And Tower.
So are there 4 people on Casey?
Just us three.
Just three.
There are the 3 of them.
Three.
Oh,
So I
Ingram's not.
apologize,
I
Jim.
thought you were
I'm
Ingram.
not.
The,
Got it, okay.
the structure is, everybody on the park commission has parks that they're responsible for, or they're liaisons for.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank you very much for talking back and forth with me. I'd like to send it, out of respect for the 3, but liaison, just to send it with them too. If you wanna keep me in the loop too, that's fine. If not, if you got Lisa going here, and we'll get the ball rolling with it.
So if we're gonna communicate some type of issue, like when the meeting is going to be or something like that, we're gonna talk to you 3 folks, is that the way?
It'd be to me.
Lisa's gonna,
Lisa.
Lisa's
Lisa's
gonna,
me.
and let them know.
And I'm a city employee.
Yep.
I'm administrative assistant for community service. Community service. I'm not gonna keep going on all my other. The Park and Rec Commission, the Economic Development
EDA.
Commission, the Planning Commission. I do planning and zoning. I do the softball fields registration for
Reach out
the.
to Lisa if you need
So,
anything. She is the
make a
city
long
hall.
story short, there were 5 people that were eliminated, and I assumed the role of 3 of those people. So we're trying to do a lot with less staff.
We'll help you.
And Tim,
Thank
can
you.
introduce yourself? I'm gonna have Tim introduce you.
And then for those who don't know me, I'm Tim Cole. I am on the city council and I'm the liaison to the council for the Park and Rec.
We figured that out.
And I live a block from you guys. I'm just over on Sean's
You
Way.
can't like the lake too much right now either.
No, it's the worst I've ever seen it.
Now, we did have one other thing. Mark wanted to talk about a little bit of signage, didn't you, Mark?
Well, yeah, just
Sure.
Mark
Blame
Swedru.
Mark.
I live on Diane Street.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just wondering if, follow up on the signs for parking in the park. I've called 3 times to have cops go down in the last month for people going over the street, over the curb, drive down the sidewalk, pull right into where they're having their picnic, right by their picnic, tables. And,
So is
Please
that
go
the
down there.
motorized vehicles that was brought up in our last meeting? Is that,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
When we talked about that internally with the city staff,
Yep.
they thought it was referencing to Public Works going back there because there's a lift station.
Right.
And they have to drive back there.
No,
And then
it's-
sometimes the police go back there as well.
yeah, this
But
is entirely.
this is residents, so we will,
These are people from, they're just out picnicking and driving on the grass.
Yeah, I'm glad you cleared that up because.
Thank you. I understood it as
last
city
time,
vehicles.
We thought it was all city vehicles.
Well, we
so-
talked about both.
Yeah.
Not off the-
Because we know they go down the.
No, I know that,
Yeah.
I know that, but then, last month, we thought, oh, that's parking or that's.
Right,
No, I
right.
know that they have to go out
But
to the pump
you're
house
talking
and-
about,
I'm
like,
talking
picnickers,
Picnic.
yeah.
Well, once in a while, you get
Yeah.
the people picking up the trash that drive on the grass, I mean,
Well,
out by the
that- yeah.
baseball field, by the creek.
This is.
You mean the city? sorry.
Yeah, the city,
Oh,
He
yeah,
public, he means,
Oh.
Not only the
You're
city.
talking about your
but
neighbor just
also,
deciding they want to drive their
Oh.
cooler closer to their picnic table,
Yeah.
so they're
That's
driving.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, that's not cool.
There was some
But
big
they're
crowd
not our
out there
neighbors.
Sunday, there was that whole park was full.
So we need signage up discouraging that?
No parking in picnic
Yeah.
area or off,
Or,
something, there's no signs that says, but
No
still,
motorized
anybody using
vehicles.
their head.
Right.
Oh, from the
You're
east
gonna go up
side.
Maybe if we
and
put,
put
maybe if we
Right.
have
Yeah.
those signs closer to where
Yeah.
curbs are or something, so then they could drive around them, or maybe it's even
There's
like
signs on
barriers or
west
something.
side.
I worry that
Yeah.
even if you put like those barriers like they have at Target or something, that someone would just drive around those and
Mhm.
just drive on the grass lawn.
Well, right by the trash can, off of Diane Street,
Right.
right there where they get their plastic bags for their dogs. You know,
Yeah.
a couple different places around, you could just have a sign, no parking in the picnic area, or
Maybe
something.
that should be self.
You
Or
know-
no
Yeah, you
no
would
motorized
think so.
vehicles.
You would think,
I
yeah.
would
a walking
To
path.
get
The,
there.
the path almost looks like a
Probably
road.
won't
But,
matter.
but I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, a
Well, then
sign,
they
a
can't
sign
complain if they get
is
it.
something they could either
And I
just
hate to
not
call
look
the
at.
police, you know, but
Wow.
they've gone the last
No,
two
just
or
keep
three
calling.
times.
Cause then they know what's going on and they get a record of it.
Yeah.
I kinda like Sarah's suggestion of
We
something
try
like.
to Solve
some
problem, solve what the
Speed
problem.
bump or some sort of barrier
Put a,
that is easily moved by the city, but is enough of a hindrance to just say, P.S.
well, I just think even if you put something there, it'll, people will drive around
Yeah, I
it.
don't-
You don't wanna obstruct people actually use
I
it
don't-
for biking and
Right.
rollerblading
Barrier's
or,
not
you
gonna
know,
do anything.
yeah,
You need
people are gonna do it if
signage
they
and-
want.
If the police are going to tell them that they can't drive their cars on the grass, it seems to me you should have some kind of an official notice saying
Yeah.
you can't do something, so the cops would say,
Right.
didn't you
Yes,
read this?
yes.
If
that,
that-
and then
Yeah.
fine them, you know,
Right.
stop, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, so, once,
Start
come
with
to
a
this-
sign.
Yeah.
Before they took that road.
What the wording should be.
So Amanda, the city attorney might have to get involved with the wording maybe, I don't know.
Carrie's really good with,
Okay,
yeah, we'll let Carrie handle that.
You know, it's a safety issue too, cause you got kids playing on the playground.
Yeah, yep.
And they're backing in and out, trying to get close to their picnic tables.
Okay,
So it's just,
yep,
just something to
makes
think about.
sense.
That's, and I have nothing else to say about Casey Lake. These guys did a good job bringing it out, so.
I'd like to thank all four of you, five of you for even for coming and coming again. And it really helps to have you guys come and express your issues with the Park and Rec Commission, because we've come a long way from just, we never did these 4 or 5 years ago where we had the community come out and just talk to us. And it's really helped us get input onto what's really going on out there, and where the people are thinking and feeling.
Now, is this your regular meeting? Is that what this is your
6
normal
o'clock.
monthly meeting?
Yeah, 6:30.
May, June, July, August, we do community meetings.
Okay, in the summer.
So we go out to different parks
All right.
every year and meet with the community at 6 o'clock. 6:30, we have our official meeting.
Okay.
That's always open to public discussion at the beginning too. But we like to do this at the beginning.
Sure, understand. All right.
So, if there's anything else,
I think what we should do though, Lisa, is maybe put Casey Lake on the agenda for next meeting again. Me and other people will be there, so we kind of keep a status going on what have we learned so far. If you contact the watershed, blah, blah, blah. So we just keep the ball rolling, if you will.
Okay,
yeah,
I have a question. Years ago, we would have just walked around with a clipboard going, hey, does anybody else care about this? And gotten a lot of neighbors, 50, 60 signatures about an issue in a park. Nowadays, maybe that's not great, knocking on people's doors, but is there a way to electronically have people who live all around the park weigh in on this same issue so that the watershed, and they can look at it and not go, well, 5 people are concerned, and they probably live close to the lake, but I mean, if they see something with 50 or 60,
I'll see if Carrie can set
residents on it.
something up on the website
Well,
where
I'll
we can
tell
get
you that,
a stream.
Walk around the park every day with the pup, and you meet a lot of people with dogs and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a tremendous amount of people who are complaining about
Well, that's,
But they don't know who to talk to. Or
Right.
They just go,
Mhm.
well,
Put it
whatever.
on the billboard out there.
But yeah, it's
But I think-
way,
Well,
Our meeting.
I realize
Oh.
a record would be
we
great.
could just have your meeting down
A name,
there,
a
have your
name.
meeting at the community center, or at our,
Casey.
at the Casey.
Casey
building.
Lake
Or we can
again?
have him walk in the morning with his clipboard and then he can,
Oh, yeah,
you know?
let 'em- yeah, get their,
I mean,
I
they're,
mean, if
they're
that's what it
retired,
takes
so.
To get official
Yeah.
petition
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever you.
that's what I'm
call it.
saying.
And
Or
we
going
may
door to
not
door,
need,
we-
yeah,
I
we
could
may
do
not
that
need
too.
to go to that extreme, because the watershed is willing to come out. And I think we can get the communication going then and hopefully get some action on what needs, or what can be done and move forward
Well, you've
with
got
it.
Tim and Ms. Wong that live the stone's
Lisa's
throw from
right,
the
yeah,
lake.
Lisa's right
So
across
if
the
you want a
street.
little bit of muscle,
Yeah.
I mean, you got something there already.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you gotta
Oh,
get
yeah.
So I will.
I said, a little bit of muscle.
Right here, yeah, that's Lisa, don't look at me for muscle.
Really, muscle, yeah.
So Tim, would you like to be invited to the meeting with the watershed
Yes, I
district?
would.
Okay.
Jim, so you plan on coming to the future meetings?
You bet.
Keep an eye on the website because. now-
I will.
Okay,
I'm on the
perfect.
alerts now.
North, now, my question is, are you gonna wanna, go away, are you gonna wanna talk, while the other people from the community are talking from Northwood, or do you just wanna do it during, when the meeting opens, we'll have open to the public and we can discuss it then,
Well, I think the open session would be fine.
during the meeting?
Yeah. I think
Okay, we'll do it that way
I
then.
think we should, because then if
Yep.
there's anyone from Northwood that wants to talk
Yep.
about Northwood Park when we're in Northwood Park, we would.
So we'll do, what we'll do,
during the-
I'm not so really sure I'm understanding what you're
Okay,
asking.
so here-
I'm hearing Northwood.
let me.
You'd come
put
at
it-
6:30 versus
You're
6.
invading
Yeah.
Northwood.
Oh, I
Because
see. And be
Northwood-
on your regular agenda.
Regular agenda,
Yeah.
yeah.
Northwood will be coming in and talking from 6 to 6:30. We don't wanna disturb them.
About their.
So we're gonna come in, we'll do roll call, we'll do agenda, we'll do approval of minutes, and then we'll open it to the public. At that time, we can talk with you
That's
guys.
fine.
Okay.
Because I don't think we have that much. We just want a follow-up and, you know, maybe about the signage or something, we can look into that. Somebody can talk about the watershed district, if there've been in contact there, what kind, if you wanted a petition or something similar to that. So we'll just a follow-up.
Okay.
Well, I'm not saying that you can't do that. If you want to do a petition, you certainly can. I'm just not sure that we need that at this point. So it's up to you. I'll leave that in your
I
hands.
doubt they'd fight you that much if they've heard about it before. I would-
Oh, yeah, no, they're not fighting,
If they
they're
want one,
willing.
we'll get one. It's very simple.
It's gonna
Yep.
come down to money, would be my guess. in terms
Oh,
of-
as far as, yeah,
We're
taking
talking about big
action.
money ultimately, what we think should be done. We're not talking about a few bucks here. If you're gonna redo the lake, it really needs the ultimate solution. 3.5 feet's not gonna cut it.
Yeah, that might take a petition.
No, that's fine, we'll just do
In
that.
city, in probably community meetings. If we
Well,
make 'em-
I
And that's
think
okay.
people would,
I've been involved in things like this before, when
Yeah,
I
that's
lived in
okay.
St. Paul.
people,
Yep.
especially
been
around.
Get involved,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Yep.
Yep.
coming down the road.
You may wanna gather a group, make sure you got the group. ready.
Mario was
Oh,
really,
that
they
would
were
be
trying
hard.
to get that too,
Yeah.
because he
Oh,
complained
yeah,
about the
Mario.
trash and stuff coming up on their side of the
Hey,
lake.
do you know Mario?
Beg your pardon?
Do you know Mario over there on the?
Lives on the north
Joel?
side of the lake.
Mario?
Mario
I think he was at the
Gonzalez.
Last meeting.
He was at the last meeting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Him and his
North
wife
side.
live on the lake. And
So he'd be involved.
They've come to a couple meetings to complain
Yeah.
about the lake and the trash and the weeds and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's,
No, I don't know
he's
him
personally reached out to me a couple of times
Has he?
as well. He would be another great one to have. 'Cause he's got the opposite view that you have. He's looking south, you're looking north, but you're looking at the same
Oh.
lake.
Same.
But the trash is all
He's
washing
got a lot
up
of
on his
trash on
yard,
his,
so.
yeah.
And the people that live in Olson's house,
Oh.
Alice Olson's
Oh, yeah.
house, farmhouse.
Yeah,
Yep.
They were there.
she was there, I remember that.
Yep.
Okay, folks,
Good.
thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
We'll be in touch.
Nice to meet you. Yep.
Good job.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
I'll
you.
send it
Thanks,
to you.
Ian.
All right, thank you, Gary. See you later.
Take care.
Anybody got need to run to the restroom or anything before we start?
Flush and wash, please.
Are you gonna sit behind us the whole way?
Back there like a.
No, I'll sit up here now. I just didn't want, I figured the guys might want to sit at the table, so I was
Oh,
gonna sit.
we have a quorum, right?
Sue's not
enough for a
here,
quorum?
Artie's not here.
Do you have enough for
Alright,
quorum
I
today?
can only met already.
Do we have a quorum?
Isn't that
Artie was there
four?
last one.
Yeah, he's been.
Artie was there
How
last
many are on the board? 9?
9.
There's 9, and we got
So you
1,
need
2,
five.
3, 4, 5, 6.
You
We got
got it.
6. We got 6. We got a quorum. All right, let's call to order.
Okay. Chair Lloyd Grayshek.
Here.
Vice Chair Laura Greenlee Carp is excused absent. Commissioner Larry Amston.
Here.
Commissioner Heather Haas.
Here.
Commissioner Ingrid Kohler.
Here.
Commissioner Sue Springborn.
That's right, she's on
She-
vacation.
Commissioner Nancy Thorson. Commissioner Sarah Zaradka. And Commissioner Artie Alvarez is an excused
I
absent.
believe Sue had emailed me about being excused.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
make note.
So make
She's
that
on
note.
vacation.
Yeah.
You have to have permission?
Yeah, that's all new ones.
That Lloyd, he carries a big stick.
Sarah, could I have permission to miss next month?
Yes, you
Do I
may.
need to officially notify you in an email, or is this okay? Because I'm gonna be out of town.
Yeah. Then we'll know where you're going.
All right,
Then we
thank
can,
you.
then she puts excused.
Yeah.
In case we
Oh,
ever
good.
get to the point where.
It'll show up on your report card.
Yeah, really?
Yes. So when I do, when I do
Okay.
evaluations.
All right.
Yeah,
In
for our
December.
raises.
Yeah, for a grade.
For our raises, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You want your 100% raise, don't you?
I do.
Motion to adopt the agenda.
I make a motion.
Go
Okay.
ahead, Sarah.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll second it.
Ingrid seconds, is good. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Approval of the minutes? Heather makes a motion.
Make it approve.
I'll
Second?
make a second.
I will second.
Nancy seconds.
Nancy.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Open to the meeting, no public. Okay, park rental. Is this gonna be the longest piece of it?
The park.
Do I need to
room?
jump to B and C? and
You
then go back?
could. Yeah, this is a pretty long.
Okay, let's jump to B. Well, Casey Lake was basically what we just did, wasn't it?
Yes,
Okay,
we
so
did.
that's done. Rotary Park, help me Lisa, but I'll summarize what I know is the signage that they're trying to put at Rotary Park, we've got a template and we've got an idea, but the people that are making it are COVID delayed due to staffing. So Jim is gonna get back to me, he's one of the guys on the Rotary, he's gonna get back to me in September, and I'll just follow up with you and see where we're at.
Okay,
the same
I
last-
did attend the Rotary Park meeting, and prior to that meeting, I talked to Brian to find out my role, because it's technically not a city commission. And he said that being is that they're not a city commission, he's going to have you
Yep.
be the liaison.
Yep.
But I did go there to represent us and to let him know what the status was going forward. When I showed him the signs that I was getting quotes on, they were different from what he was looking at, and so I showed him the signs, and I showed him what the city had approved for a wayfinding plan back in 2018, and his comment was that they've always had the right they've always been given the permission to do what they want to do in that park. So what I was quoting was not matching what he was wanting for the park.
Okay.
So I'm going to give him the contact for Gopher Signs, because they're local
Okay,
and they can do custom work. So he can go ahead, I'm assuming if he doesn't need permission from the city. Terry Furlong was at the meeting, and Terry did mention that we would like it to represent what we're having in the city. So it's not up to me to decide what he can and can't do, but at this point I'm just going to let him take the reins on the signs, because
who, Joe?
yeah,
So what are we gonna have in there, and,
How different will it be? for
can I make a comment?
sure.
Let him, I'll get with Joe and tell him to start communicating with me.
Yeah. Oh, he
And then-
knows that.
okay.
Well, and the other thing is
But I
the
don't-
reason he was saying that, I should defend his side of it a little bit. It's on DNR property. The Gateway Trail representative was there, and then there's city property. So there's 3 different parties. So he didn't want it to have the North St. Paul identity.
Tim, what's your input on it?
It's in our St. Paul Park, it needs to have the park logo on it.
Mhm.
I guess I would look to see
to get council's opinion, that's just my opinion.
My
Yeah.
thought is if he wants it on the park, then it's North St. Paul. If this is something he wants for Gateway, then I think he needs to make that party with the DNR, I guess, because I think it's a little presumptuous to say we don't want it to match, and then then he wants us to pay for it too,
Well,
right? That's
and
what I
he's
remember. Is
he's
I'm like,
seeking.
you don't want us to match, you want us to pay for it.
Yeah.
That's what doesn't
And
make sense.
he didn't
Yeah.
say that
It's
it.
the $4,000 thing.
Yeah, there's a little bit more information. He is seeking funds from the other parties as well. I don't know how much he's gonna get. I know the the Gateway Trail lady said, that of course their budget is limited. But they would ask, and the same from the DNR, they'll check into that. I did let them know because I did take it to council and they did approve the $4,000. That was something that he needed to bring up. Last year in August, you guys made a recommendation that you were going to recommend to council to approve up to $4,000 in funds for a sign for that park. And at that time is when we went through the change in staff, so it never went to council. So I brought that to council and they approved it, and I let him know that there would be up to $4,000 of matching funds or funds, I don't know if they have to match, but from the city.
But it was my understanding that from this commission that it was supposed to be matching whatever the city had at the time.
And I explained that was the direction that I was given from Scott.
Okay.
Scott's not here any longer, so I don't know if that still holds true. Terry Furlong was there during this meeting, and he did say that the city would like it to match, but someone would have to enforce that because Joe Miller was proposing, it was a nice looking sign, and you've seen copies of it, but it wasn't what's authorized at the city council in 2016 for a wayfinding signage plan. It was different.
I was on the Wayfinding Commission, all those meetings, and I think the big thing coming out of that was they wanted continuity throughout the cities. So
exactly.
if you pull in on White Bear and County Road C area, you see the same sign you're going to see in downtown. It's like it all matches.
Yep.
And that was the part of that painful year-long committee that me and Nancy's husband were on. And I feel like if we just let people start making whatever sign they want, and especially us paying for part of it,
I agree.
I feel like they shouldn't, and I don't know how much, I forgot these signs are expensive, right? But if the Rotary's not even paying for it and all they're doing is orchestrating getting it done, I'm like, why should they be the name on that sign versus North St. Paul?
And it was actually not going to have their identity, it would be neutral.
Okay.
What has Joe been told at this point? Up to this date, that he can start pursuing different signs? Or not?
No, you've been involved with all the communication
Okay.
except for the wayfinding plan. So everything he's presenting, you've seen, and we were working at that. But what I found in the meantime is this is what had been approved by the city, and this is because Scott had told me that. So then I did the research and found this was the wayfinding plan. This is what's approved. I brought that to Joe. Because Randy Miller from Public Works was even like, well, no, that's not the sign that Joe thinks he's getting. So that's what I said when I proposed it to him. He was like, we've always been given the opportunity, and I am not wording that right, but they pretty much had free reign to do what they want in that park. Like the benches are Rotary Park benches. They're not North St. Paul benches. They're blue and not green.
But who paid for it? That's a good question.
I don't know.
Tim, do we need to get the city council to
I was always of the impression city council had final say on what anything looked like.
Okay.
I could very well be wrong. But any other signage we've ever presented, council always had the ability to give it the old thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, I would think that would be the case.
So, and I'm also of the assumption that the signage that was gonna go up in Rotary Park was also going to be advertising downtown to get
Yes,
to
and
get
that
people
was an
to
issue.
leave Rotary Park and drive in.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That was brought up in the Rotary meeting. The DNR does not allow any advertising on their property. So depending on where they put the sign, which I think at the end of the meeting, I had another meeting, so I had to leave when they were looking at where they were gonna put it. It was gonna be on North St. Paul property and not DNR property, so then,
So what's defined as DNR? Is the shelter considered DNR?
I think they drew the line right behind the shelter. To the north of the shelter.
Can we put this on the agenda with the city council so they can discuss that the $4,000, here's my suggestion, that the $4,000 that we approved for signage is approved signage that we've already done in the past, but the city, if the city council can tell us, yes,
That
we're gonna
coincides
follow.
with the wayfinding plan.
If the city council wants to tell us the $4,000 is gonna go to co-sign with the waste, then we will know, Joe, this is the way it's gonna go. If the city council says, no, they can do whatever they want, okay, then I guess we'd have to roll with it.
I have a question. Is it the appearance or the content on the sign?
Yes.
And the appearance.
It's both.
He was
Yeah.
pro-
It's
To my
both.
understanding,
Both, yeah.
both.
It's continuity.
Because, I mean, is there some sort of compromise that could be proposed to him?
And you know what,
Like,
yes, he
look,
said that it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that he couldn't work with that.
right.
I think he was more letting me know that he's always been able to make the decision of what they do there, and that and I don't have that, I have that with the other, I have that with my Rotary Park
Well,
folder.
that makes sense, because before
And they need to
2018,
pay for it.
you know, before we had those meetings and there was a big push for all this continuity, I mean, it makes sense that he would have been, you know,
Mhm.
able to do whatever, because we didn't really care that much.
So there
Sure.
was nothing, there wasn't a lot in downtown, like now you've
Yeah.
just brought in all these people, there's a lot more
Mhm.
people on this trail.
And that's what Terry Furlong stated in that meeting, was that, you know, it's been a topic of conversation in a lot of different commissions and meetings. Planning Commission has discussed it, the EDA is discussing it, you guys are discussing it. And it was actually brought up at the joint EDA and Planning Commission meeting.
They have continuity.
A wayfinding plan,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, then that'd be my suggestion. Everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's get direction from the city council and see what they want us to do. We still got time, cause the lady that we were communicating with, she's the one that would do, if we did wayfinding, she's the one that would make the wayfind sign. Lisa?
The lady.
That one lady that said, well, I can't do anything right now because of COVID, we gotta wait till September, cause she was,
Oh, that was a guy from Go for Science.
Okay.
Yes,
and
yes.
she was gonna make the wayfind sign.
But I mean, my thought is like in the wayfinding committee, there was like there were gonna be 3 kiosks, and one of them was on the gateway, one of them was in downtown, and one was somewhere else, I don't remember where. And those kiosks were the big expensive ones that were gonna show like more about where the stuff was
The
in the
maps
city and their
were-
maps
yes.
and stuff.
And that's what I showed him for the kiosk, because I actually had
Yeah.
a printout of that. That kiosk was a single panel kiosk. What he was proposing was a 3-panel kiosk.
Yeah,
And then it didn't have the North St. Paul branding.
yeah.
And that's what, you know, he would, depending on where it goes and whatnot. But I think we
Yeah.
can work with Joe.
I would just think that if
Yeah.
we're gonna do it and it's already a delay, then like, why not get someone in the council or someone,
The
whatever committee would
reinforcement.
do that, cause I don't know that, we weren't really wayfinding just for parks, like we were part of that same
Whole
branding,
city.
is it like, and then as a city decide, we are going to invest in this wayfinding thing, cause we've got 8 million more people living here, and let's just wrap that into the wayfinding, like we're gonna buy our 3 kiosks, and then they're all gonna look like this, so that they're continuous. I mean, that would be my thought, is like to do one, what's gonna happen is it's gonna be one-off, and maybe the same printer, but it's gonna look different, and then you're not gonna be able to go back and re-spend that $10,000.
If we wait for that, though, it's gonna be a long time out, because there was only part of the wayfinding plan that was approved to move forward. Like they approved having a plan, but there was only, it was
didn't
gonna be
approve the
rolled out
graphics
in
and stuff
in sessions. Yes, and that would be another thing that would, as far as the graphic goes, the
Yeah.
North St. Paul logo, as you can see, it's slanted on one side. So if you put that, which it is pictured on the top of the sign
Yeah.
in the layout, if you flip that, the angle goes the opposite way. So that's gonna have to be redesigned, they could certainly put
Well,
like.
but how they did it, how the graphic designer did it is they actually made the sign bigger so that the slant was in there, but the sign was actually a square.
So there was like a white
So the square
background.
was the same,
Like,
yeah,
okay.
so the square was the
Behind
same on
you.
both
Like
sides.
that up there.
Yes,
Yeah.
Like that?
yep, they
So
could do
that's-
something like that.
That's what we had come to, because I had brought up the
Okay.
exact same thing
Okay.
in that meeting.
So
Okay.
the lady that said there's gonna be a delay, she's the one that would make at this point, she would be the one that would make the wayfind sign, correct?
We don't have anyone specified yet or identified for that.
What was she gonna make?
Well, we were just getting quotes for this sign.
Okay,
Yeah, we haven't moved forward with the wayfinding.
so we got time, because right now we're not, even if we
I
had
feel
her
like this
do
is
it.
someone trying to solve something in a bigger part of a crux that like hasn't been solved yet. I think that's the issue I have more than
Right,
this, is having
right.
been on that committee, is that if we approve that one sign, then where do we cascade from there, knowing that we also have park signs and there's the wayfinding and the downtown signs that
Mhm.
I believe we're part of the downtown improvement project too, but
And see, that was my thought, is that
Yeah.
it has to match, so we're going to use whatever was approved for the wayfinding plan
yeah.
and use that type of sign for Rotary Park.
So, would that be our recommendation then? That the $4,000 we use would coincide with the wayfind?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? A recommendation from our,
Well, that would be what everybody's thinking.
Because
Yeah.
part of me is like, if the wayfinding thing is part of a city budget, then why are we taking money out of the park budget? Because it's just going on park property.
But
like-
there isn't, right now, there's not
No
anything in the
budget, yeah.
CIP plan for the wayfinding.
Yeah, I just worry that if we pay for one sign, then they're gonna want us to also pay for the downtowns, you know what I mean, like, which isn't fair, but it's,
didn't we pay
we're
for
the ones with the budget,
snowman
so.
sign? I think we paid for that
Yeah,
one, didn't we?
we did.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so, in the end, it all kinda comes out of the same
But fun.
fund.
Yeah.
And we already did get the approval for the 4,000.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can go back on that.
No, I mean, it's fun, but
So,
I just think it's a slippery slope. As far as, I'm sure he wants action and he wants it done. I guess I'd put this on the council at this point and just make sure that they feel okay with that, cause they approved the $4,000.
so it'd be our recommendation that the $4,000 we spent that was approved be approved for a sign that coincides with
And you
the
know what, I
wayfind.
think, here's my thought, let's just take it to a workshop, it's already gone to council, it's been approved.
Yeah.
I did verbally say that it would coincide, because that's what I had been researching, that's what,
Okay.
and I didn't have, for once did I even think that Joe would say no, that he would make the final decision, I mean, that just never even crossed my mind, so when I was at the council meeting, I did verbally say, that it would coincide.
That's okay.
So if we take it to a workshop, we can let them know where we're at, and then we can stand ground with Joe if we need to, that this is, if we're gonna give you money, this is what it would be for. Okay, so we don't need a recommendation then, we'll just handle it that way.
Okay.
There's
Let the
too
city-
many commissions involved
Yeah,
and too many moving parts. Everyone, I think, has their own interpretation of what's gone on,
yes,
as well as Joe for the road.
Yeah, yeah.
So there is no clarity in message, I think, coming out of the city. And we need to get clarity first,
yep,
and then we can go to him.
yep.
Then we can move forward
And
with the
does he
sign.
even understand what the whole reasoning behind wanting to, match the, he may
Mhm.
not even really understand why we're so worked up about it.
Sure,
So, but by the time Joe gets back to me in September, which he's already acknowledged he's gonna do about the sign, we'll have some sort of.
Hell, it'll be winter by then.
It'll be winter by
Do it by
then.
spring.
Go to next spring.
Well,
They're not getting your ice bikes after
We'll
September.
be able to give him
Ground
some
before-
direction as to what the city council feels he's gonna be able to put in there.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
yes, because our council meeting would be August 17th. That's the next council.
and he's not gonna get back to me, so I'll wait for your whatever you get from
Yeah.
the city council, and then, I'll have that in my little dossier, and then when he gets back to me, I'll let him
Yes,
know what's
yeah.
going on.
And if we are following the wayfinding plan, then I will be involved with ordering the sign because it needs to match. If he gets the authority to go off and do his own, then I won't be involved and he'll just handle that.
Yeah, and if you need, if the city manager, the interim city manager wants me to be liaison, that's fine, I had already volunteered. Just send whatever you get from the correspondence from Joe and send them to me.
Yeah.
And I'll get back with whoever to get the answers, so you don't have to sit there and go, you got enough on your plate.
Well, that's my job, so that's fine.
Okay.
And I have no idea where the DNR got involved, because my original understanding was this was, well, first the Rotary was gonna fund it, and they were coming to us for a portion of it, and then it became, we were going to fund all of it.
That's
and
exactly what
they were gonna
happened.
fund none of it. And
I
now
can
I'm-
give
and
you
now
a
I'm
little bit of
hearing-
history on that. The first, I don't know how many meetings, and this is just verbal, they would go to a meeting and Joe would say, so, does anybody have any wood? And they'd all sit there. And then the next meeting, so, does anybody have any wood? Make a long story short, the city did end up taking over the project to get it done.
And
There's so many
nowhere
ways-
in there was the DNR involved in funding any of this, let alone having a say in what the signage would look like. And it was my understanding that the sign was going to advertise downtown's
Mhm.
businesses.
Yep, yep.
And a discussion on that from the Rotary meeting was that it could be advertising for an ice cream shop, not necessarily Love's Ice Cream, but there could be ice cream shop with an arrow.
So there's a disconnect.
There is, and I fully agree with you. I don't have a vote in it, but I do fully agree with you that, and I think Terry tried to make that point as well, that we want to bring traffic in, we want them to know this is what's down here, and have everything consistent within
Yeah.
each of our parks.
So I think workshop is perfect. My only concern is timing. I have no idea. We don't have a workshop or a council meeting on the 3rd because it's National Night Out.
Correct.
So the next available date is the 17th.
I think I'll be fine because.
Well, I don't know if there's room in the agenda,
Oh.
is what I'm saying. I have no idea what's planned for it.
I don't think this is a big priority. I think we can push it off, and we'll just let Joe know that I can communicate that with him, because where I left it was that I would give him the contact information for the sign company, but I can let him know that there's some discussion and we need to determine whether or not it can be whatever you want or if it has to follow our
So then
sign.
the next city council meeting would be when, September, what?
The beginning,
7th.
yeah, beginning of
So
September.
we still got time,
Okay.
cause I said September, so that could be September 1st or September 30th.
I have no idea who picks the agenda topics for
They come in
workshops,
from
so-
everybody.
So,
Yep,
yeah, so I just wanna make sure that everybody knows that just because it may be important to us, it might not make the first cut.
Nope, that's fine, but at least we'll have,
How
at
could-
least
how
they'll
could
have
the Rotary
something,
sign not be
at
the
least
most
they'll have
important?
something to tell Joe.
Mhm.
So Lisa and I can keep in the loop, and you can keep me informed on what the communication, the wording is of all this, and I can keep in touch with Joe, and this is where we're at, this is what we're working on.
Sure.
Okay.
I like his strategy.
Sounds good.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Who's got the wood?
Let's,
No, but they're beyond that.
that's better.
Yes.
Lisa, thank you. We could put that on the record, thank you for everything you're doing for us.
No problem.
You're welcome. Let's go to park rentals. Policy review.
Okay, this went to city council, and
And
they
they
would
kicked it
like,
back.
they would like
Hey.
your, they would like your opinion on it.
Surprise.
They would like your opinion on it.
Yeah, well, you say
Um,
Yeah.
We,
wow, tell them
What did
thank
we do? What did
you.
we do
Yeah,
that
tell 'em thank you.
was getting great approval?
Yeah.
Council was looking for guidance and direction before the council made decisions for policy.
Is that for like the refund?
It was new, a lot of different things. The refund is in there, but also in the packet is, I don't know if you did it, if Carrie did it, I don't know who did all the surveys of the surrounding
Carrie
areas.
did the surveys, yeah, of what the
we
rates are.
charge, what the other communities charge. Based on the findings, it comes out that we're a pretty good deal
Yeah.
in comparison to what our neighboring
Yeah.
communities have. So that was one. One of the questions that I asked was, I'm of the impression that half of the rental fee goes to cleaning.
Yeah, that's my understanding
Yeah.
too.
Wow.
And so
And lately that hasn't even covered it.
Yeah, right, with everything else that's been going on. I think there's room to bump it up, but that's my opinion, and it needs to come from you guys first before it goes back to council.
Well, initially when we did, especially Casey, we had talked about wanting a little higher rates, and at the time, city council
Correct.
had said, well,
No.
we don't wanna overcharge the public, but it sounds like
But I think that was 3 years ago
that
now.
was 3 years ago now. And I think things have changed, we're having cleaning issues, we're having, damage issues.
We
and-
used to have a damage deposit, and we don't anymore, and a lot of people feel that we need to bring that back.
Yes,
Sure.
yeah.
And that was
Absolutely.
taken away without this commission knowing about it.
Correct.
I don't think we would have agreed
No.
with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
thank you very much, tell the council, thank you for sending it back to us.
Yeah.
So, what do you need from us?
Just,
Would you like a rental deposit reinstated?
Yes.
Yes.
and
Yeah,
how,
I mean,
and
a
how
damage
much,
deposit.
how much would you like
Yeah.
that to
Wasn't
be?
it 400 before?
3.
Let's,
We were
At least
saying
that's the
5
check
to
that I just had to
1,000.
go down and sign the affidavit for from 2019 to get back.
Okay, for example, what did it cost us to clean up that
That's right,
big
because
mess?
it cost like 450.
The worst case scenario,
Worst mess.
that worst mess we had, do we have any?
I don't have those numbers.
I mean, I heard
I-
residents were helping.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the cleaning.
Right.
I would
And that's the
suggest
point to-
$500.
I think
minimum.
that sounds like
Yeah,
a nice
sure.
round number, and
Absolutely.
So if you go through what's in your packet, there's guidance from other communities, and I think you can kind of use that to help set what the damage deposit is.
500 seems really high to me if you have
it-
to pay that all up front.
Because the intent is you pay it up front, the check gets cashed, you're out the
Yeah.
money. Because if you put it on a credit card and they bill a credit card, it's easy for the credit card owner to say, that's not a valid charge, dispute it.
Yeah.
So it needs to be in a check,
But
and
a
if the
check
check
would be a
needs to
bad
be,
check.
but,
It could
but
be,
it
but we're
needs to be,
still,
it'll be deposited at
Yeah.
the time the rental is
Oh,
made.
Okay, okay.
And so if you go as
Yeah.
high as $500, you're asking for whoever rents the property
Yeah.
to be out $500 out of their checking account until whenever their event is.
yeah, so that.
Well, then that even still takes time after the event.
yeah.
It could take a
Correct.
month.
Because if
And
you,
I think we're always going to have issues, but I think this is gonna curve it substantially
Yeah.
if we put these,
I mean, we didn't have as much issues when we had the $300
Right.
deposit. I'm not saying we have to go that low, but if you said 500 and then you're, even a resident who rents it for a weekend, you're paying
Right.
$700.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can afford $700, and there are good people who can't afford $700. That doesn't mean they're gonna trash it.
But they're
You do
doing
three-
weddings. They're doing weddings for,
Well, but that's the case, and you're talking, I feel less bad about a wedding. I'm just saying about the person renting it for their family reunion and their
Yeah.
picnic.
yeah.
Thaddeus Heights is 300, Oakdale,
Canada's $350.
yeah.
Maplewood is 370 for the 7-hour one.
so if it was previous 300, could we just meet in the middle instead of 400 and do 350?
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, that does
And
sound.
cleaning costs most likely have gone up since we.
Well,
did
I'd almost
last-
rather see like any deposit. I think 300 is a good amount of money because that's like a car payment. That's a lot of money,
Yeah.
like more than 100. I'd almost rather see what like Tim's saying is maybe the rental fee go up to cover the cleaning so that we actually maybe potentially don't lose. We're
Yeah.
not losing money on renting stuff.
We can do that. I know the majority were thinking to reinstate that policy because then people will be
Of
more
the deposit?
mindful. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
for sure,
Sure.
that's not even
For
a
sure,
debate.
yeah.
We absolutely.
So I think
need
it's
that.
just pick your
Rate.
rate and pick your location. What's Housey gonna be? What's Casey gonna be?
House's like the best deal on the market.
And I'm talking damage deposits right now though,
Yeah.
not rental rates. And
Right.
then do we charge for our open shelters or are they just open?
We charge.
So is there a damage deposit on there? Previously there was a $50 damage deposit for for the open shelter. Housie was 150. Casey was 300 on during the week and weekends, and even 300 for a wedding. I'd jack it up for a wedding.
Well, that's the other thing. We
but-
really don't have a way to control,
The
of
event.
monitoring
Yeah.
what events. So that was a question that was brought up. Do we want a flat fee regardless of what they're
So
doing?
they can say they're having a
Oh,
wedding, but
right.
it's really
And
not,
really,
yeah.
to tell you the truth, what's happening, we have people that aren't North St. Paul residents that say they're North St. Paul residents, so they can get that, resident rate. We're always going to have people that will find a loophole to save money and not get by with some things. But I think if you put your best foot forward and put the policies in place and try to eliminate some of the people that abuse it by not having the policies in place, at the very least, it's going to be a big improvement.
I could live with 300, 350 or 400.
350.
What is it, what was it now, 300?
300.
It
Right
used to
now
be
it's
300.
nothing.
Right
Prior
now
to it
it's
was
0.
300.
And the surrounding areas are 3 something?
Between 3 and
350 and
375.
Okay, we should probably,
So do you want to make, or do you guys have to vote on that then? So you're all
They make the
consent-
recommendation, and then I think it would come to council,
Okay.
and council may tweak the recommendation.
But if there's discrepancies in how much they think, do you guys need to do the
Then we
majority?
can discuss it. So I'll make a recommendation to reinstate a deposit on the Casey Lake and any shelter building rental. But for Casey Lake, I'd say 350.
Okay.
For Housie, I'm gonna go with 200. And then for open air shelters, we'll say 50. Again.
Yeah.
second,
I'll second that.
who wants to take it?
Heather.
Heather seconds,
Yeah.
discussion.
I'd like to state what form that's gonna be, so it's cash or check.
Is that a
Let's
question,
get
or is that
specific about
cash
how they're
or
paid.
cash?
Those are the two options.
Those
You
are the
can't
two
do, Yeah,
options,
you
or-
can't
That's
do
what
your
I'm
credit
saying.
card.
We have to make sure we
Okay.
say that it's not a credit card.
Yeah, for the deposit.
It's gotta be,
Okay.
it's gotta be cash or check.
And then when do you want that deposit?
Down at the point at which they're.
Yeah, the reservation.
Res-
At the time of
Reservation.
reservation.
Pay on their
Perfect.
rental.
Yeah.
So no different than from what it was.
Right.
Lisa, do they have to show proof of residency by a,
Yeah.
by a driver's license or
I think that would be a good thing
I
to
think so.
I
implement.
always thought we did that too.
Don't they need to show that they're.
Yeah, they can take a picture and upload it, and we can verify
Of
that.
course,
To
it
make a
doesn't stop
recommendation?
them from
No.
somebody else renting it who's not.
Yes.
I did that for our wedding, we had it at Wiper Lake, and my friend lived in Wiper Lake. And so you just.
But you at least have to
But-
kind
but
of
yeah,
try.
but
At least you're,
Right.
yeah, at least you're trying to.
Do we have to make a recommendation for that?
Well, you could put it, you could throw
We'll
it in
just
the
throw it
piece.
in, yeah, in
And
the one
taking a
recommendation.
picture of their driver's license also makes them a little more liable for
Yeah.
possible damages.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Maybe that's part of the language we say, like, the person renting it is responsible for damage, so that way,
yeah.
if you're renting to your cousin who you know is a jerk, and you're
Mhm.
like,
You're still
well, I don't
liable.
wanna be liable for you
Yeah.
tearing up
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Little Canada has some properties that are only available to residents, no non-resident
Look
rentals.
at that. Yeah.
And I think that's the only city from what we found.
That was the only thing
Yeah.
I
I
came
think
across.
Hugo might, and their shelter is very similar to ours. It was built.
So it's
right before
residents
ours.
only.
Really?
And they have.
Do you want to
So
recommend that?
how do we,
I feel like the only crappy thing about that is there's people who are on that park that live in
Yeah.
Maplewood.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
okay,
think it'd be difficult
let's
to
go
do.
back, since we got, how do you wanna word this, Sarah?
I worded it.
Well, we added in,
Cash or check.
She's gonna add in.
Yeah, I
like,
got
cash
cash or
check,
check.
Yeah.
is there anything else that we're?
And proof of
And-
res,
Proof of residency.
And who was second? You're
yeah,
okay
proof
with
of
the
residency.
second?
And it's
You're
due
okay with the
upon.
change, okay.
Yep, due upon
The-
reservation.
Yeah.
So that becomes an issue for staff, the proof of residency thing. Is that something that you guys wanna take on?
Well, I think it's important. I think we need to.
Okay,
Yeah.
because
Showing-
reservations are now done online, correct?
Right, and we review those when we get them, and what the process would be is they would take a picture of it, upload it, which is right within their application.
Perfect.
We could easily check it,
Okay,
yep.
sweet.
How do they
Not a
pay,
problem.
how do
And
they
thank
pay
you
by
for-
check or cash on the online reservation system?
They wouldn't, they would have to either mail that or come in.
So maybe we say like upon, like I think we also need to specify, since that's the new system, that like you need to come and pay by check. or
Within a
cash
week.
within
Within-
7 days or something, or.
Yeah.
You good with that?
Otherwise.
Because then you could be holding a good
Right.
June
Yeah.
spot or something
Yeah.
everybody wants.
And it has to be,
Yes.
how about if it has to be in within X amount of days before the,
From reservation.
from the reservation?
Well, and
Or
we
do
used
we
to-
not
from
want it,
reservation.
we'd rather have it within 7 days of holding it, because it, like you
Okay.
said, if
We
it's a
would hold
great
the
date,
event.
Okay.
Yeah.
then it
Not
gets
the
too
event.
close to the
Okay.
event, and then,
Do we still allow, because something else we used to do, I don't know if this was all messed up, but we used to allow North St. Paul residents like a month ahead reservation,
do.
so we
We
like,
still do.
like December 1st, right?
Still do.
You get to reserve if you're not, but then you don't
Yes.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
And non-resident is January 1st?
Yep.
Is that how
I
that
think
works?
so, yeah.
Yep.
And then do
What
we
is it,
need to make a
December
separate
what?
recommendation about the
December
price? What do
first.
we wanna do for that? So,
Pardon?
what do we wanna do for the price of the buildings? Housing's cheap, dirt cheap.
You mean for
Yeah.
rates?
Yeah, that is a
Oh,
separate
we'll get-
discussion.
We'll
Yeah,
get,
housing's at 100.
let's finish this one.
Thought we did.
We did.
yeah.
Okay.
We didn't vote on it though.
Are you
We
here?
didn't
Yeah, we
vote on
did,
it.
we first
We
and
didn't-
seconded it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we need a vote though.
Oh,
We didn't vote.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
We had discussion, so, any other discussion?
Let's do
Oh.
a Zoom one. Nancy?
Oh
Aye.
gosh, so those, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, rates.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Well, I just was seeing what people wanna do. I think the housing one's a steal.
Yeah, it is.
That's,
So we should
where are
raise
the, these are the
What's
actual
nice about
rates,
that
not
rate
the-
is we do get a lot of applications for family picnics,
Yeah.
for housing.
Well, I mean, could we, I don't wanna complicate things, but I'm like, could we do a weekday, weekend thing there too? And maybe split the price and leave it cheap on the weekdays and,
does housing include the building and the picnic shelter, or are they separate?
I thought they were
Um,
together.
Opening shelter?
I think-
Yeah, it's a little, just right outside the
Uh-huh.
building, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was
That
included.
open-
But I thought you could rent that shelter separately.
I thought it was separate.
Yes.
So did I.
If it's
That was-
open when you rent it, you can certainly use
Yeah.
it, but being as that we do rent that separately, there
Okay.
is an option for both facilities to be
Okay.
rented at the same
So,
time.
cause it's not on here and it doesn't call it out on the
The open air shelter.
previous rates, all it calls out is housing park buildings.
So maybe we only have two
It's
open air
probably just-
shelters then, maybe just Silver Lake and Casey.
Northwood?
I'll have to,
Northwood has an open air.
oh, yes.
Right,
I
no, but
will-
what I'm saying is what I'm looking at here doesn't denote what you're getting. It
Oh,
only
yeah.
says, the way I interpret it, you're only getting the building, you're not getting the shelter.
Right.
That's
Right.
correct.
Yeah.
Then we should rate, okay, yeah.
Well, then it would be, fall under the North St. Paul open air shelter.
Okay, so if it's not on there, do you propose we add it as a rental?
I would think it's part of the open air rental, no?
Should be.
I would
That's
Yeah.
I'll
One at
have
the
to
top.
look here.
North St. Paul open air shelter, 45 resident, 55 non-resident.
Now, how does one know or show, if I rent the open air shelter, obviously with the building, I've got the key. But if I rent the open
Yeah,
air shelter,
good question.
how does anybody know that,
Just tell people.
well, what if they say, no, I don't believe you?
I wonder if that just.
We're going
Tell the
to-
police, but then the police are, the
Yeah.
police are gonna go, well, how do I know who's supposed to?
They get a permit.
Oh, they do?
They get a permit, yeah.
That's all,
Ah,
perfect. So they get a permit for the Casey Lake or housing building?
Anything
or-
they rent,
Okay.
yep, you can print out a
Okay, so that
permit.
takes care of that.
Can I ask a quick
Yeah.
question about that? At Silver Shelter, the other day, I noticed some cops. I drove past it, and there was a big event happening, and that shelter is always busy. And I noticed there were a couple of cops who were talking to some people. Was there a conflict over who rented it or something?
Not that
Do you
I,
happen to know?
not that I
Okay.
heard, it didn't circle back to City
Okay.
Hall.
Okay.
But the police are aware that if I go, here's my permit, I'm the one that's supposed to have it.
Mhm.
That's how they resolve the issue, okay.
Sure. I guess we haven't had that conversation with them, but it hasn't been an issue that I know of.
Okay.
But if they were to read that, it specifically says
Okay.
your name and what you've rented and
No,
when
it'd
you've
be-
rented
Maybe
it.
Kind
somebody
of a
was there
bummer.
first and somebody else
Yeah.
got there.
I was just gonna say,
Mhm.
wouldn't it be a bummer if you said, let's have a family picnic at the pavilion at 11:30, and you get all unpacked, and then at 12, the people show up going, we have this rented from 12 to 3 or whatever.
You know, I actually have on my to-do list to make a sign
Yeah.
for each park
Oh,
saying
yeah.
that you must
I-
have a permit. So yeah, that's on my to-do list.
You must have one, or you.
No,
you
I
must
need to
defer
make a
people
sign.
with-
I need to make a sign that states that you need to have a reservation. Or not to use this. If it's open, they can use it. Not
was
the
just
not
gonna
the
say.
inside, the outside open air shelters.
Mhm.
We're going to post a sign that says this facility is available by rental. So if someone comes up and says, "Look, I rented it," and they've
Yeah.
got their permit, whoever's there, they would know.
Good idea.
Yep, yep.
But the open air shelters is the one that I'm talking about, and that becomes a little. I've always been slightly uncomfortable at the rental of those because like it's a public park, and suddenly we're saying you can't be here. I mean, anyway,
Right. But if we put those signs up, I think that'll clear up any confusion.
At
would
least
that
it'll
be on an open air
Yeah.
shelter?
Yes.
That's what
Yeah.
you're
Yes.
talking about.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The
I
resolve,
thought you just said it was.
No,
help the
open
police or help the public resolve
Yeah.
who's supposed to be there. If you come in there and you get there first and I haven't reserved it, well, then I don't
Then
have
I'm-
to get it.
okay.
But if I got the permit, then I say, well, excuse me.
So the wording on the signs is not gonna discourage people from
No.
picnicking there.
No.
Right.
It's not saying you can't be here without a permit, it's
Right.
saying people with permits have priority.
Preference.
Correct.
This is a
Versus
facility that
priority.
is sometimes rented. Okay,
Yep.
if the signage is clear, then people kinda know what they're
I
getting.
think it actually might even help us get more shelter rentals, cause people may not realize that they could like reserve that.
Mhm.
Like on a hot summer day by Silver Lake, like being able
Yeah.
to have that whole shelter to yourself,
Good point, they may all figure
If
that's
they think
free.
ahead.
Yeah, they think ahead.
Yeah.
But at least it'll help the police department, whoever resolves the disputes,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
whatever's going on
So
there.
I
houses at $100 right now to rent it, the enclosed building, right?
That's cheap.
That
Is it 100 or 150?
It says 100 on this.
100 for
For
Yeah.
resident,
It's cheap.
Non-resident,
Okay.
resident,
Resident.
resident is 100, non-resident is 150.
Okay.
That's really
Well,
cheap.
would we wanna start at Casey and work our way down and see what's reasonable? Cause I think this Wakefield building, that's the brand new one at Wakefield Park, it looks identical to ours. If you look at Maplewood, just talking about the Casey Lake building, then, cause I feel like I don't want, we don't wanna overcharge for housing if Casey, whatever.
Mhm, right.
But this one, if you think the full day on the weekend is $300, like that to me seems like if you want to split the difference between weddings and weekends at Casey Lake, you go to 200 to 300. I mean, I know that's a big jump, so maybe that's too much, but that building is like identical to ours, with the exception that it has a really cool fireplace, so maybe it's even a little nicer, but,
I think our demographics, with the way it's changing, there's a lot of cultures that are doing these
Mm.
group things.
Yeah, actually,
If we coincide with the other areas, it'll keep some consistency.
mhm.
do you have a cost in the cost of cleaning? Maybe that would help too, like what is it actually
It's one of the
costing us?
questions I asked, and I don't know if it,
I don't have those numbers. I could get them from our city manager for the next meeting.
No, I mean, that's okay, I remember it being really high.
No, we have a really good rate with our cleaners, but depending on how much work is done, then they pay by the hour.
Got it.
Sarah,
And
is Wakefield Community Building comparable to Casey?
Yeah, it looks like they took our floor plan and put it
Okay.
up. It's a beautiful building, and they redid the whole park. It's really nice. It's right by my
Maybe we
mom's
should just
place.
correspond with that.
have you guys been in Casey lately?
No.
I saw
no.
it outside.
There's two 50-inch television sets.
Oh, yeah,
Really?
yeah. I saw one.
The
barn door.
the
Yeah,
barn door to the
it's
kitchen,
nice,
the
yeah.
acoustic tiles along the ceiling
Wow.
really helped.
Yes, yes.
Did it?
Good,
Yeah.
thank God.
So
Yeah.
No, we
Yeah.
haven't.
all you
TVs in
need
there?
is somebody to break one of those TVs, and your $300 is gone. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're right.
but that was
So there was some money put into that
Yep.
since.
They
we
changed the
had set
sheetrock
these
out
things.
on the walls and put in a
Buffer.
plasticky material that isn't supposed to damage as easy as the sheetrock and the paint.
Yeah, it looks great in there. Looks great.
I mean, I'm saying like if you did 300 for residents, you could do 400 for non-residents, or I don't know why Maplewood did $70 more. That's so random. But
Are you talking
I-
on weekends?
weekend, I'm starting with the highest price, and
Okay.
if Tim's suggestion or whoever's suggestion was not to charge different for weddings because people aren't honest about it, and we just split the difference.
Well, and we really don't have a way to monitor
Yeah.
that.
And it's
Mhm.
easy, it's just one less thing
Yeah.
one less variable
If the
for you guys
people-
to
If the
track.
communities around us are charging,
Can we put that on your list though, the day's rental, then you could go check to see if it.
Sure.
She's like, wait,
You know what? I would happily do that because it would get me out of my chair for a little
We
bit.
had talked about having, when we first opened it, talked about having someone go down there on the weekends and check things out but.
Well,
would
we were
that be-
requiring a cop if you had, like, we're serving alcohol like, for a wedding.
Yeah.
which-
How can we make that more of a,
Well, first
How
let's
can-
figure out the price.
okay, all right,
Back on track.
yeah.
Um,
I kinda don't wanna
Hey, you
go
want this?
down
You're
in
doing
price.
great.
Are you
What?
suggesting going down in price for the rental to
No.
match
No.
Wakefield? Thank you,
I'm,
because I'm like,
Yeah.
my
No, no,
suggestion
I
is we
just-
keep comparable.
Yeah, so-
Especially since we're a smaller community.
a wedding we were charging I'm starting with the most expensive, so weekends. So for a resident, we were charging $200, which is really cheap to get that building for the full day. Consider Maplewood's charging $300 for a resident
Oh,
for
I
the
see
same.
what you're talking about.
And then $400 for a wedding, so it would be splitting the difference and saying $300 for a resident for the weekend and not having to cipher out the wedding.
Right.
Okay.
So this would be like $300, and then what you do for non-resident,
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
we were $100 difference before, so maybe it is 400.
400.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's basically Casey Lake weekends.
Well, I mean, then we work our way back. I'm
Right.
just saying,
Yeah.
let's
We're going
start with the
backwards.
most expensive so that we're not
Yeah.
So X
digging
day
a hole
weddings,
the wrong
just
direction
do
of what
So
we're trying to
the category is gonna be Casey Lake building weekends.
weekends and weekdays, and get rid of
Get
the
rid of weddings.
weddings.
Yep.
So
You
if
want-
You
a
want to
wedding
charge the
there-
same for a weekday? Because most people.
No, no,
are-
no,
No,
no.
no, we're working on weddings.
Yep.
Or
Oh,
weekends.
Yep.
You
So
got it.
you're proposing how much for the weekend on Casey Lake?
300 for a resident,
Okay,
400 non-resident, with a 350 deposit.
okay.
I know that was a separate conversation.
Oh,
but
that-
Together.
So
Okay.
we're just crossing out the whole bottom line,
Yeah.
because we're not gonna, okay,
so get rid of one of them, okay.
yeah.
That's
Well,
dirt
yeah,
cheap.
but
That's
they-
really dirt
Yeah.
cheap for
But
a
if
wedding.
you, if you charge 400 for a baby shower, then that seems ridiculous, you know?
Right.
Or we
Really?
just say you can't have weddings, but I do feel like that's the
You
benefit
never
of that
know.
building, you're just not gonna be able to
Okay.
monitor it.
What about weekdays? Everybody good with with what Sarah mentioned?
300 and 400.
300 and 400. How about weekdays? And we're getting rid of the weddings,
We're
okay?
at 125 and 175.
Yep.
Is that an entire day?
Yeah, 7 to 11.
Wow.
So they know when they rent
Seven.
what the hours are gonna be.
So,
Are we putting hours on the Casey Lake
Maplewood,
one?
like, only gives you 4 hours on a weekday, that's
Yeah,
kinda
and they're
weird.
at 150.
but I don't think we wanna do that because we don't wanna split the shift.
No.
because-
Oh, we did,
wanna do
we
that,
talked
yeah.
about that, that would've been a
Right.
nightmare for
We didn't want it to
cleaning.
kick people out,
Right,
yeah.
right,
Right.
Okay.
Don't our parks close at
So we
10:30?
definitely need to raise.
Don't
What do you
our
think,
parks
Nance?
close at 10:30?
Dusk.
Throw something
Oh,
out
they
there.
Wording
do.
is dusk.
So how's the shelter open till
Was it
11 when
at
it's
least
technically in the
150
park?
maybe?
How many hours are we giving them?
It's the
They
whole
have the whole
day.
day.
We should
Get
check
the whole
the
day?
police
day.
department on that.
Did the whole day on a weekday?
Yeah,
175?
it's just,
Yeah.
They're gonna love us You for want
that.
175, or just 150?
Well, that,
I'd say
Raising it.
going up $25 doesn't, if we went
Yeah.
up 100,
150?
take it up 100
I'd,
bucks.
I'd say
I'll check
go to
with Ray.
200 or
you're getting the whole day
175.
for $200.
Yeah,
Even on a weekday.
and
people are-
then
200 and 300 then.
Okay,
Right? Cause the non-resident is gonna be 100 more, or not for that?
yep,
well, right now it's $50 more.
yeah, that, you're right.
Yeah,
So
200
maybe go
go
to
250.
50 for
Yeah.
non-resident.
Yeah.
250?
Yeah.
Percentage of the rent
And
is
200
our
for
resident
resident.
versus
Okay,
non-resident.
so Casey Lake weekday, 200 resident for the
Yeah.
hours and 250 for non-resident.
Yeah.
About
Yeah.
deposit.
Deposit is always going to be
300 bucks.
350.
350.
Yep.
Even if,
350.
Okay.
Even if,
wait, so do they get a reimbursement then if they rent for 200 and they've paid a $300 damage?
They get
deposit?
300 back.
They get
They-
their damage
they get
deposit
their money
back.
back.
They get the
damage deposit back.
damage
Yeah.
deposit
Everything's
back.
damaged.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, housing, building.
Housing, we're at 100.
150 and 200? I don't know.
150 still seems cheap for that.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, you
Yeah, a lot
get
of-
bathrooms. I mean, I guess it's not huge, but
Ball field. Probably.
And is it all day? It's all day.
It is. That, like I said, that's mostly used for like baby showers, family reunions.
maybe we do just go up $50
Yeah,
on that.
because
and
if we
say
went to
150.
200, we're actually doubling.
Well, then you
Yeah.
give a half price option if you don't want to spend the money of the Casey Lake building. You get
Yeah.
something that's
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 150
Okay,
and And
Two.
Yeah,
200
Okay.
for non?
yeah.
Yep.
And then the deposit is,
I'm
I'm just kidding.
No.
200.
Well, actually, no, that's different. You have to decide on that because the
No.
300 is just for Casey.
Yeah,
No.
we said 200 in the deposit. We said 350
Oh.
for Casey, 200 for Housey, and then we kept the 50 on the park shelter.
Is that how we worded that? Is that how that was?
I think that's what I said.
That's what
I have it written down.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Okay. So,
And I don't see a need. I mean, unless you want to just round up to 50, but like even those park, I don't know. Those picnic shelters actually seem kind of expensive for what?
The open airs?
Yeah, I don't know why that seems expensive to me. but I think
Maplewood is
it's just
$55
Yeah.
for a picnic shelter, a large shelter is 75.
We could just
our
round up.
shelters
45
are
is so weird.
Oakdale is
200 for
Oakdale is
damage for
$50.
Yes.
okay, so you were right.
Do you want to just round to 50? Is that weird that we're 45?
That seems logical, doesn't it?
I would.
Yeah, I say round it up.
So round to 50.
But I just say yes.
The
there,
open
okay.
air.
And then it looks like
I
Oakdale
don't dare say
is
no,
like
so you were
65,
right.
so we could be
Okay, yeah.
65.
Okay, so
For
what?
the
For
non-residents.
where we going on open air?
We're
We
at
just have
50.
round it to 50.
50,
45
yeah.
is weird.
Okay.
Yep, that is.
And then
weird.
Oakdale, for their small shelters, is 50 and 65, so we could just do 65. It's $15 more.
On the
Yeah.
non-residents.
for non-resident.
Yeah,
Yep, and a $50 the damage deposit,
Yeah.
correct?
yeah.
And this is all gonna be effective, December 1st, cause that's when we start reserving it.
Yeah, you can't.
Can we
change it
start
now.
taking a damage deposit before then?
Good question.
Oh, yeah, well,
Because
We're still booked through the summer.
Okay.
We're already booked through the summer.
And I didn't think you could
So
until
there's
December
no
1st.
way to say, oh, P.S.
Yeah.
We're
Oh, yeah.
Right.
stating a
You're
damage.
gonna make
Right.
a lot of people
Okay.
angry.
Yeah.
probably.
Never mind.
so effective December 1st, this goes.
2022 rentals.
For
For 2022 rentals,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Effective for 2022. rentals.
Because we'll have to update the fee schedule and that only gets updated annually.
Okay. But but the residents are December and everybody else is January.
Thank you for
Got it.
posing all of
Just kidding.
this.
Carrie did a lot of work on this. That was.
Do you need a recommendation for
We
the
did this,
fee
we
change,
spent a
the
lot
fee
of
changes?
time on that.
Or are you just gonna wrap it into that one?
I'll just wrap it in.
recommendation?
This is what you
Perfect.
guys are
Yeah.
recommending.
Yep.
It's all in the
Yep.
parks.
She's gonna wrap it all in with the other.
Sounds good,
recommendations.
wrap it up.
Okay.
Good.
Yep, wrap it up.
Okay, anything else?
And this will be presented back to the city council.
So a couple other things to throw in there.
On the,
What do we currently do for hockey teams, baseball teams that want to use an open air shelter? Do we charge them or is that free?
no, I think we discussed that we didn't wanna get into who we decided.
Nonprofits.
Nonprofit, we didn't wanna get into any
So
discriminatory
the fee is the
statement.
fee is the fee.
Fee is the fee.
No,
Yep.
I thought
Well,
there,
Because we used
What
to
was
do it
dis-
for an SBA.
And
Correct.
And
That's
that's what
why I'm
we're
asking.
doing.
We got, and we talked about, we
Yeah.
didn't wanna get into who was gonna be allowed it and who wasn't gonna be allowed it, and then get complaints about discrimination.
Council
So-
made the decision this year on the ball field that if it's a nonprofit organization, the fee would be waived.
yeah,
Oh,
cause I'm on a
And that's
T-ball
a-
team where they got the fee.
but they have to show the 50.
How you doing?
Yes, that's a
Hit
blanket
the ball out of the
statement.
park yet?
Okay,
Nonprofits,
Still working on that.
yes.
okay.
There was a little bit of, like the regular teams, and Terry Furlong approved this without the 503C, the North St. Paul teams that have always played, the NSPAA, and I think they did in July submit their nonprofit, because they were that was the North St. Paul Fast Pitch
Is there a
Association.
card or something, Cole, if I reserve
They have a
this,
certificate.
that says, okay,
A piece of
Oh.
paper.
well, I don't know, we could.
Yeah, if you're a nonprofit,
They have
yeah,
to show that.
Yeah.
then.
yes, you get your
So
5013C
basically,
or
we said
whatever it
If they
is.
wanted the red
Yeah.
Casey Lake, they're gonna get it for free.
Wait,
No.
wait.
No,
Open air shelters.
open air shelters.
Open air shelter,
Okay,
not a
Is-
building.
not the buildings.
And let's not make it a blanket, any nonprofit, because
Yeah.
don't we wanna say, I think we need to specify North St. Paul sport, athletic,
I think
or
it should just be
something.
at the discretion of the city. I mean, that's what happened with the T-ball team we're on, like the person doing the reservations said, this is a bunch of parents organizing this league, like they're not taking money from anybody, they just got money from parents to do t-shirts, and then the city's like, we're not gonna charge you to use the field to try to get kids out and do the sport.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And
Okay,
council
it's
had
not-
the same,
Oh,
A
yeah.
parent wasn't gonna go file for a 403C or what, like that's really
no, no,
hard
no.
and expensive to
No.
do,
So
like,
what if a Girl Scout, a North St. Paul Girl Scout or Boy Scout troop wanted to rent?
if they're nonprofit, they would be able to rent it.
They have to be from North St. Paul.
No,
Okay.
no.
Not rented.
No, and
Yeah,
that's what council had this debate,
Okay.
and once they said nonprofit, then I know Scott said, okay, then we need to hold that across the board, nonprofit for all nonprofits.
That's what
So I do have for the ball fields, I do have some leagues that are outside of North St. Paul. Apparently there's some North St. Paul residents, but they're outside of North St. Paul. They've proven that they're nonprofit, and then I don't charge them.
Does the nonprofits in North St. Paul get priority as far as like the December 1st sign up?
she's talking about ball fields,
Right.
but.
Or for
I would
for the
say
open
that-
air shelters?
So you guys can make your recommendations, and it can go to city council, and the council can then decide. So if you would like it to just be North St. Paul nonprofits, you can make the recommendation North St. Paul nonprofits, and then it'll be discussed at council.
Yeah, I don't know how we would communicate that to the
Well, I'm
community
just
though.
thinking, can
See.
we, well, that's true,
Yeah.
too. How do we communicate?
I think we almost need to read this, cause we as the park board use that, and we are not a nonprofit, and neither is the city, and we use that building for free when we want to do events, so I
We
feel
are
like
the
this gets
city.
really
Might
dicey.
give money back.
Yeah,
We're
we're
the
the
city.
city.
We're the
We are
city, but like,
And what used to happen is, the city used to pay the Booster Club and NSPAA every year to run their programs. And they said, well, we wanted you to rent the field. I says, well, that makes no sense.
No.
Giving us money, we're
Yeah.
giving
Yeah.
it back to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're just switching it in what pocket it's in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have to reserve for like next year. I know COVID screwed us up, so like next year, if we need to know in November or whatever, where we're gonna have our meetings, so we can reserve that
Well,
building for
yeah.
that night.
You
Or
reserve.
whatever events we're gonna have ahead of time, so we can't just kick somebody out.
Well, that's just a
Yeah.
priority thing,
Right.
but we're talking about fees now, right? We're just talking about the fee.
Fees
So-
for nonprofits for renting our buildings. That's what we're talking
But
about.
Yeah.
let's just leave it at any 401. If it's gonna be easier for you, I would say just.
Anyone or
No,
just
501Cs.
in North St. Paul or?
Well, I thought it was.
I would say it
sounds
should
like the
just
city
be on
council
the
says
discretion of
anyway.
the city, like,
Yeah, that sounds.
if you feel the need that your group would like to use, cause to me, like, so I tried to file for a 403C or whatever for Janie's, and it
401(c).
cost a lawyer, I mean, it was gonna cost me $4,000 to do it. You can have good organizations that
Mhm.
do not have the money and years to file for that. To me, I'd say, let's just, like, Lisa's, if someone says, hey, we're the Girl Scout group and we'd like to rent it, would you do this? She can either bring it back or she can say, you know what, that's a group that is helping
Yeah.
the community.
That's where we get into problems though,
Okay.
where it's just, where you just leave it up to a
To
person,
discretion,
there has to
okay.
be a policy in
Yeah.
place.
I mean, it would
To be
nice-
honest, it's never been an issue,
Yeah.
it never has.
Nance, go ahead.
I thought originally we're having this discussion when the building was first built, and we just decided to not honor any nonprofits.
Then let's.
Just
I mean,
have
for no
everybody
charge.
pay.
Yeah.
Well, then
Do
we
you
can
remember
make-
that conversation?
Well, the
I remember
building,
Because of the
the-
discriminatory issues that
Well,
may
it's
have
just
Yes.
gone on.
our-
The building or the open?
Oh, we're talking about
Open air.
the building is paid for regardless of who uses it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's the
Yeah.
open shelters.
Yes.
Well, we can make a recommendation.
But I don't know, maybe,
Because
We
I
can
also
make
remember
recommendations,
when we put the big glow in the dark sign up,
yeah.
that I could feel the
Yes.
heat in my house from the
Yeah.
glowing embers.
We had
me
a
up too.
discussion about that with
Because
nonprofits.
that was only North St. Paul nonprofits were
Yeah.
allowed to advertise on the
Yes.
sign. I have no idea where we are now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that was
Yeah. Yeah.
that was what the stipulation was at that time.
Do you wanna recommend that it not be, that it be for?
I personally think they're just gonna use the shelter and not reserve it. I've done that, probably, because I didn't realize we rented them for shelters.
Well, a lot of people, I think with the open shelters, they don't realize, oh, we gotta rent it. They just.
I guess I'm
You know
not
what I
worried
mean?
about the open air shelters, and if the North St. Paul baseball team wants to use one and they ask for it, I say give it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean.
But you're gonna have to have.
But yeah, that's where we run into trouble.
Yeah, you
On
have
an
to have a
audit.
policy.
Staff is.
But
On
then
an
what if
audit, we run
Maplewood
into
wants to
trouble with
come
that.
in, or do you show a Maplewood team the
I'm
same?
just gonna tell everyone to show up there or not.
Well,
Yeah, so
here's
like
the thing, you're at a park, if someone actually reserved the open air
Yeah.
shelter, you can walk 5 feet over,
And
put the
grab a
kids on the
picnic table, yeah.
ground,
Right.
and have your meeting,
Where
so.
are you at with it? You wanna make a recommendation?
I don't really care either way.
Okay.
I just wanna make it easier
Just
on
have
the
a,
city
Yeah.
we'll just
staff.
have a fee,
I don't want it a big hassle for you guys.
we'll just have a
Just
fee.
leave it a fee.
Okay.
And for your friends, just tell them, just go squat there. No one probably will.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
kidding.
Okay, so we won't make any changes then, we'll just
Okay.
leave it as is.
So we're not updating any of the policies tonight, we're just looking at the
Fees.
fees, so we're not talking the alcohol.
Oh.
We talked damage
Well-
deposit, but that would be part of the policy and procedure,
Paying open air shelter.
but
Well, it's 7:32,
Right.
it's up to you guys if you wanna
I-
get into that discussion,
Which piece?
whether or not alcohol should be there. So it looks like Carrie did go through the park rental policy, the last page of the handouts that I brought.
based on time, I think it's just, my guidance would be just
Table it.
take
Lloyd, can
this
we hear that
piece of
from you?
it first,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
come back
Yeah.
and take a look at the alcohol
I'd like to
and,
read through this
and
Yeah.
first
Okay.
before-
Yeah,
where you have
and
to have
nothing's gonna
police
change till
presence
December
and-
anyway,
Yeah.
so.
Well, let's,
Yeah.
do we put it on the
Let's
agenda for
Make
next?
sure we all
Yeah.
read it.
Do you know what would be helpful though, when we come back to discuss that, would be maybe if there's any research, or if you could scroll through the system and see if people actually are, because everybody has alcohol there, if anyone's actually paying that $600 fee, like, I guess any historical data you have from reservations from years past, before we discuss it, like, because I'd be interested to see, I'm having a baby shower, I'm throwing some Coors Lights in the cooler, like, did they actually pay $600? Like, or is everyone just paying the $300 and not saying that? Because that would make an influence in my decision of, if we spend all this time talking about what we want an alcohol deposit and then no one's paying it anyways, you know what I mean?
Why don't honest people?
It's like the weddings.
Okay, let's,
I'm just saying for the next
Yeah.
meeting, so that we
Yep.
have some research to
Okay.
understand. And if we know if anyone hired police presence, I'd be curious about that too. Because
Yeah.
we obviously know there's been some crazy ass parties there on the
Right.
weekends.
Right.
But did they actually, I'm sure they didn't, but I just would like to know, like, okay, people actually, we did have X amount of people who actually paid this deposit.
can we appropriately email you with any other suggestions
Sure.
that we need? Okay, we
Yeah.
just can't make decisions on it, but we can send you information. So if anybody's got any other additions, questions?
We'll bring our feedback.
Yeah.
We'll all
But if
read
they-
this in the meantime,
Right.
and we'll bring our feedback next time.
Okay.
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 On the
that'll work.
alcohol?
On
Technically, it's
everything.
unlawful to have alcohol in the park.
It is?
Yeah,
Our parks allow it.
they do?
Yeah,
I didn't
our
think they
signs
North
did.
St. Paul's
Till
one of
9
the only
o'clock.
cities that allows it, yeah.
I guess I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have a vendor this
Look, they
weekend.
said
by
they
golly.
can't do music in the park.
I have two friends, like, I have a girlfriend who always, like, she's like on Match or whatever dating, and she always meets at like Casey Lake. She's like, well, let's go to a park in North St. Paul because we can have a beer and walk around. 'Cause
Oh,
she's like, no
funny.
other cities like allow that, yeah.
Yeah, there used to be a sign up at Casey.
Yeah, it's
That
alcohol
you could
permitted
get
till
hammered? I
dusk
mean,
or
you could drink
something.
You couldn't drink after 7 or something like this, and they had trouble with the brew ball teams on Sundays, up
Right.
until 10 o'clock.
Oh,
drinking
yeah.
and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
In that league, that's.
But nobody ever
not-
did anything about it.
Lisa,
Well,
would you be able to still,
fun.
like, at our other meetings, continue to print off? Cause like, for me, my printer is,
Sure.
so that we have it, cause otherwise, looking
Yeah,
back
that is
on the
helpful.
phone is a little hard.
Yeah.
You can't see very well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are we, reports from staff? Good?
Am I staff?
Your staff.
Last
Well,
I
no,
looked,
you're
I
not
was
staff.
liaison.
Lisa's staff.
Lisa's staff.
You got anything else to tell us?
No, let me see, let me look. Yes,
Lisa,
I
You're
do.
not staff, you're
I do, I do,
commissioner,
I do.
or liaison.
I'm liaison.
It is on that list. report.
Something that has been brought to my attention is the ADA compliance. Let's see.
Still resurfacing, huh?
There's been a couple of handicap parking signs apparently in 2 different parks, Casey and Rotary, that were removed. So I had to find out how many parks we need, how many handicap parking signs we need in each park. So I will move forward with getting those put back up if in fact we don't have enough. So that's an FYI.
Do we have, so the Casey Lake one's been gone for a couple of years. It's the, you got clipped by a car or something.
Is that what, yeah, that's what the
building,
report
right?
was that I got,
Yeah.
was that it's been gone for a while and they
Yeah.
need to be put back up. And along those lines, it was brought to my attention that there was a committee for an ADA compliance that was in effect, and that the city of North St. Paul adopted, to move forward with a plan to make sure that we are ADA compliant in all of our parks, and it was required by law. And so I don't know a lot about that. Do you guys know
Other than-
from in the past?
All I know is that we were given direction last year that any improvements we make to any parks, whatever the time frame was, is that we had to make sure we look at ADA issues. So we as the commission realize that if we're gonna do any improvements in the park, they have to have ADA compliance with it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's been pretty clear.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, and that was like
Okay.
a year or so ago.
Yeah.
We just haven't done any park improvements.
Yep.
Right.
And then we also talked about the park sign, so that's all the information. Oh, this is the park sign that I received a quote on. This is a local vendor. This is actually Gopher Sign. So this is what I'm proposing for our parks. It is $2,000 for the 48 by 24. It doesn't include this grill, but it's a really nice looking sign. The larger signs are 72 by 27, and this is printed on two sides. So this
What
is
color?
a green. Yep, I showed him a sample. Scott had me use our North St. Paul, the park benches, so that it's a powder coated green. It would match that.
So to me, they don't look a whole lot different than what we have now. Maybe the lettering.
Aren't ours wood?
And I don't
Yeah,
know if
these-
green matches the whole signage of the city, and I think the city was going to blue.
I was wondering.
Yeah. What was your wayfinding?
Yeah, what did we?
It was in the wayfinding thing, but
Yeah, Scott said green, so we better research that wayfinding plan.
I don't think it was green. I'm
I
with
feel like
Tim. I feel like it was white and blue.
White
Yeah.
blue.
Because
Yeah.
we had
Which
our,
makes
when we had our
sense.
meeting at
And
Rotary
I think
Park,
that
it
little
was
guy was
it
supposed
was
to
white
be.
and blue.
Yeah.
I think that little guy was supposed to be on all of them. I thought it was in. I was looking
Yeah.
in here to see if I had my wayfinding stuff, but I don't.
I remember seeing some samples of downtown.
Well,
like
Deb
signs that might be
had
downtown.
done them all,
Yeah.
and we had looked at them.
Yeah.
I have that. I can forward that to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you make the decision to go to blue, we can certainly do that. They have many options. It wouldn't change the price at all.
I remember Keith at maybe his last
His
meeting
last
at
meeting.
Rotary Park showed us 3 different
Yeah.
signs, but you couldn't find that, I suppose, on his
No.
computer.
No, a lot of that stuff isn't around
It was
anymore.
gone.
No.
And I think the other
Three
general,
different signs he was
companies.
proposing.
Well, he had
Different
3
materials.
Yeah, 3 different examples, and it seemed to me that some we really liked.
Some of those, I know were coming back in the $6,000 per sign range.
Okay.
So then Jill actually found these in the, like I said, they're $2,000
Yeah.
and $2,500
That seems
for the large
It
one.
does seem
They're
reasonable.
local, there's no shipping.
Yeah.
It's the powder coated, it's not wood, so
Okay.
it would last a
Maybe
long
if they
time.
weren't green, maybe
Is-
that's.
Yes,
what
yeah, yep, we
Yeah.
can certainly go blue if that's,
I feel like that.
and I
think-
have that wayfinding information, I'll
And the
forward it to
logo
everybody.
Would the logo be put on those?
We could certainly request that.
Or
And-
some?
Yeah.
Can I see that grill at the bottom? Because you know what I like about that?
the emojis.
Yeah, the emojis. Nobody's
Ah,
nobody's
right
reading
here.
words anymore, but
Oh,
they're
you got
gonna
it?
they're gonna notice that,
Oh.
that,
Look
and
at
that.
Sarah being organized.
And you can
No.
add that, you can add
Sarah,
that.
she works for Target. She's organized.
Look at you.
Yeah. So this was, nope, this is just Sarah does throw shit away. So this was the research on all the other parks and their signs.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that we had said is like they wanted some continuity in like the city logos, which is the snowman. Like so it would be like North St. Paul and then the city park name. And then this I think must have been what he gave us, which was from whatever MR sign. This I don't know what the hell this was, but this must have been part of it. That's like, these were the signs that this is the ones we did get approved in actually on the one thing we did on the wayfinding committee, because these are actually up in the city. I think he must have put these in to say
Yeah.
these are the ones that we paid and got approved.
Yeah.
But I think the discussion was, these are a lot of playground rules we had to have a discussion about. But I thought the continuity was that all these parks had like their city and then the park name under it.
Okay.
So I think that was what we were trying to get at, is like whatever we got, we liked these, like whatever these are called, like the one you have with the two posts.
Well, let me ask you this. If we were to do something like this, the reason that they can go down to a price in this price point is because they're pretty standard.
Yeah.
But if we incorporated our logo on the sign, would that
I'm
be
sure it
okay?
would
Or do you
cost
think
much.
you need it to come up and have that?
So you're saying if we change the shape of the sign, it gets way
Oh,
more
here we go.
Yes.
Look, I have notes. 14 signs, 8 foot by 4 foot, double side, 2,200 per sign. It's gonna be $32,200 to do all the parks. Our first choice was Housey, Colby Hill, Polar, Dorothy, Silver, and Northwood to do 15K, because we thought Casey Lake does have that big kiosk, so it wasn't.
And I'm not 100% sure council didn't approve that.
That's what I thought we sent. I thought we sent to get 15K approved. The 14K, maybe that's where that came from. And this is August 2020.
Perfect.
do-
And you have the vendor
Do you want
on
my
that.
little packet? It'll do you
Yeah,
more
we're
good
gonna
than
do
me.
part of them 1 year and part the next year.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna do part of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Now I don't know where he ended up. That's probably that was
all
also.
done.
It might be in there somewhere though.
okay,
Where?
so this is the bid.
That's tennis courts.
Okay.
Why was
do you
I so
have-
passionate that I took notes on that? That's really
So do you have the vendor that he used for the signs?
Well, it looks like the vendor for the actual street signs was.
I know, I couldn't find it.
This is all the, remember the damn tennis court discussion.
I used to get them in my office, but I piled them in the corner. I had a table in the corner.
It looks like the vendor for the signs that actually made our street signs is right here, MR Sign Co., Fergus
Perfect.
Falls.
Okay.
But I don't know if they do those kind of signs.
One page.
Maybe it's,
I'll call them and
you know what,
find out.
take that because it'll make your life easier, and maybe talk to Gopher Signs and show them some of those other signs and say,
How can
what
you
if you did
incorporate
something
this?
like this that's, I don't know.
Yep, because they do custom signs. It'll
Yeah.
just increase the cost.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I thought we did discuss that we liked the white because it actually stood off the green, and then the blue would be the wording.
Oh, wait,
It's on
no.
there.
Color, no.
Blue sign,
Blue
white
sign,
one.
white.
Blue and white.
Okay. Blue and white.
Okay.
All right,
We
that
good?
makes sense. We are good.
Good.
Oh, one other thing, report from staff. The CIP plan for next year, we had gone through and listed our priorities for the parks and what you wanted on the agenda for, I shouldn't say agenda, but what your priorities were for next year. That actually, the signs, was it the signs did not, something, yeah, that we thought had been approved actually didn't go to council yet.
It was
So-
the signs, right?
Yes, it was the
I
signs.
thought the signs were approved by council.
I checked in the notes,
Okay.
and the last it was at this level, and it didn't go to council.
Okay.
But I did talk to Jason. Let me get my head straight on that, because I did talk to Jason, and he's putting it in the CIP plan for this year.
Okay.
Maybe it went to council, but not in the. It wasn't in the CIP plan. That's what it was. So I'll get clarification. I apologize, you guys.
Well, I'm
No.
guessing based on that being August, and if we would have approved, because I had notes like we approved it, so my guess is it would have gone to a September
meeting.
2020 council meeting.
Okay,
Probably how.
okay. So I did put that for next year as a priority to have those funds. That's what it was. It wasn't in it wasn't in what we were proposing to Jason in the financials, so, I'm sorry, Tim.
All right.
Okay.
It's been a long
Anything
year.
else?
Somehow a rotary
And I wasn't
sign
on
got
council
through
and that. I just,
one
yeah.
Yeah.
discussion, I recall.
Yeah.
You good, Lisa?
I'm good.
Reports from the commissioners and liaison. One question. Can we get, and I know I shot this to you, can we get a budget report at each of these meetings?
Got one right here.
So good.
You take a look.
can't help the numbers. We should have lots of money because we haven't spent any of
Yeah, we haven't spent-
it, except a rotary sign.
Yeah. So we've got,
At some point in the future, not tonight too, I feel like it's, maybe it's part of our park improvement plan, but what are we doing with our bucket of money from all these new developments that have come in? Cause I feel like we've never had a real, maybe it's a workshop or something, I don't know, but like, it'd be nice to decide if that's part of that park improvement plan, or is that something different, you know? Cause it has to be used differently, we can't just
It
update
does,
a
yeah,
playground.
there's X amount that, and I think I have that here.
I don't need to know it tonight, I'm
No,
just
but
saying,
I
like,
have,
I've been thinking of that as all these new buildings are about to come to fruition, like.
well, the park dedication fund, when Jason Zemer was here right before he left, that number was at 237,000. But one of the projects that I'm working on is collecting escrow from all of the buildings that have happened in the last
So you're the debt collector too?
couple years.
God.
And
She's a revenuer.
I didn't add that I got to do the audit. I got to work on the
I
audit.
do the audit too.
We have that much, I mean, that Zemer's been gone for a couple years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So how much more money do we have? Because all these other things have come since then.
Yeah,
right?
there'll be a lot more coming because
So,
I know the new
hot damn.
townhouse is going to be 18,900 when those townhomes are done.
So what do we have, so the budget, right now we got 237,000?
No park dedication.
That's park dedication
Remember the
fees.
separate bucket we
Well,
have
that's the whole
that
bucket.
like
That's a
can't
different
be,
bucket?
we
That's-
can't use it to
Right.
improve parks. It has to be used for new development.
Oh, so this is a capital,
Hashtag
we have to do
downtown.
capital gains with that.
Capital improvements.
Yeah,
Capital gains.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, you could build a nice building at Northwood.
Well, yeah, if we waited a couple of years, we could build a lot of buildings.
Yeah, we should want to wait.
But that someone else can destroy
No,
it.
we have to talk about renting that.
And the park fund's got 44,000 in it.
Those
We
are
haven't done
what
anything.
Jason gave me. So that's at
We have to go-
344
we can't do anything
now.
till the park
I
improvement
know.
plan is
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
We're like,
Okay.
victim of that.
All right.
We can't do anything for us.
I'm good with that.
So just one thing to keep in mind,
And just-
make sure your spending is adequate with the balances.
What are you talking about? Could you
So
clarify,
you've
please?
got, there's a lot of money in the park and rec. Let's make sure that we've got plans in place to
Spend it.
spend it.
Or they might take it away.
Right.
We just need when is our park improvement plan going to be approved? Is that what you're saying you were taking to council?
Yeah. So,
That's when
and
you have
that's-
time.
That's what. No, I don't take that to council.
No,
Finance
but
does.
you are strapped with everything else.
Everything else.
Hasn't been time to get it done.
No, Jason's working on that. Had to be in by July 15th.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well, into finance by July 15th. I thought it was being
who's
proposed.
Jason?
So we haven't seen.
I say Jason, Kyle. I even call Jason
Kyle.
Kyle. I just go-
Oh, wait a minute.
Because
Yes.
Okay.
Jason's gone. Kyle is his assistant. Now we have Dan as the new
Does the
finance.
budget, does the budget get brought up, does our budget get brought up at the
well, it
meeting?
should probably be reviewed by the room if it hasn't been already. So have you guys seen it?
No.
Yeah, that was what
I
they
haven't seen it.
what they put together for the.
Oh, the one we went through with the priority list?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
is
yeah,
that,
we-
is
yeah.
that where we prioritized?
The
What-
budget part, I don't
You
think
were
I've
What's
seen
the
the money.
what's the
Yeah,
budget
we did
piece
that.
of
I
it
don't
that
think
was
we've seen
given
the
to
money part, have
finance?
we?
No.
No.
Oh.
No.
So can we see that on the next meeting? I don't think we've seen the money piece to it. I know we,
I'm not.
Was there actually money attached to it?
the cost
Yeah,
for
the
each
the
thing.
estimated costs were attached, and this is what we were planning on spending for next
Oh,
year.
okay. Never mind.
We haven't seen the costs, we just have seen the, like, what we prioritized with, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1
Oh,
to
the
3.
ballpark never
Yeah.
circled back.
Correct.
Ballpark figures.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
I do think the only one we think we heard was Northwood, and then I got stuck on that,
That wasn't
and then
crazy.
we moved it to 3
Wow.
to 5 years or something.
I mean, I have
Yes.
my moments.
Happens.
So can we just do that next month? That work?
What is
Sure.
going on with that Housey tennis court? It's like that's always there. And have we ever
That was
decided
in
anything
my
on it?
August 2020 packet of the
Was
estimates.
it? What did it say?
I don't know.
It was.
It's over there.
What are we gonna do with it?
Weirdly, I only had August
What
agendas
did we
in here. I guess I
$40,000 for it.
But we decided we were.
To resurface or redo?
No, because the new
Redo
bids
it.
came back and said it was gonna be like 80, it was gonna be like
Oh,
100
Oh,
grand.
yeah, but they didn't have any quotes, they just making up numbers.
No,
Oh,
there
yeah,
was.
yeah, you're
That
right.
was- wasn't-
That was
Yeah.
WSB just throwing in the, but we
Because we
had
don't have
the
the
ADA
park.
stuff in there.
The park improvement.
Oh, okay, so
But
that's
Keith
where
had hard
So
quotes.
the reason I asked that, Tim, is that if it comes up at the meetings that, well, the park commission's got all this money, we intend to move forward.
Correct.
Once we get, and if you can just relay that, if it does come up, that we intend to move forward as
halted.
soon
We
as
can't
we are,
spend any money
we
right
are
now.
okayed with the city council, because it's our understanding that right now, we are not
Oh.
allowed to move forward with any improvements
Yeah.
until we get our homework done.
Yes, oh, that's another
So we're
thing I need to
basically
tell
in
you.
detention right now.
The park improvement plan was taken off of my plate. We are contracting with WSB to finish that.
Oh, Morgan's gonna give a speech? Oh,
That's good.
Yes.
for
So
you.
what's his deadline?
I haven't even had the discussion with them yet.
Okay.
They don't
have a
know it yet,
deadline.
is what you're saying?
They don't know that, yeah.
But Morgan's
Um,
not gonna give a speech.
So
so
can we,
No.
because I think, and I can speak for, Laura, who's not here, I think what my building frustration
come back
is,
to the next meeting
is
and do it
until
again.
that thing is done, we as a commission are like halted
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
anything.
Kind
Yeah.
of.
So is there a deadline on when?
Well, and that's why Brian, the new city
Yeah.
interim manager, did
Yeah.
say you've got enough and we need to.
Good.
Pass
No, I'm
this
not
on.
blaming you. I'm just saying, like, if we're gonna contract someone out, do they have a deadline? Like, can they be done with this end of August or something so that, like,
I think end of August might be pushing it. I would say end of September because I still need to gather. I need to collect everything that I can give to them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got everything, but I need to organize it so that they know what to do to pick up. So I
Okay.
would say end of September
Does
is
that
more
become
realistic.
part of WSB's duties is working with the city now?
It will be.
Will be.
It will be.
because it would
Comes
be
with,
great.
comes with a price tag, I'm
It
sure Park and
does.
Rec's paying for it.
Yeah. It. Well, I don't know where the money's coming. I
I
just
don't
know
either.
that I'm not
$100
doing
an
it.
hour, 200-hour project.
Yeah, and that's why Scott wanted it done internally to
Right.
save the money, but I can't.
No, I'm not blaming you. I'm just,
Nope.
we as a commission
Why?
keep
Yeah.
building money and we can't spend it.
What else you gotta do?
I'm
Someone
coming to your
figure
house and I'm going to bring a bottle of wine and I'm going to tell you
already.
why.
She is so, this lady is so busy. I walked in there and I go, Cynthia, where is she? Well, she had to move from her front desk to the back so she could do.
So I could hide.
She's tucked in this little room way
I could
back.
hide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
So it'd be nice next month at the meeting maybe to get a, like, when you've worked with them and pass it off, like what they think their deadline, what they think they're gonna be done with.
Okay.
can you let us know if Park's gonna foot the bill with it, at least so we can know for this
What we're paying
WS,
for the.
for the WS.
Yep, I'll get a quote
We got
and a
money.
deadline.
I
Save
know.
her some trouble.
And
I know.
I'm sure it comes out of a city budget someplace.
It's
It
all
just
the same,
hasn't
but it's
been.
all the pot, I
Yeah.
just did that.
Yeah.
All right, anything else from anybody?
Well, you haven't talked to the park. You started park liaison and then talked right the hell over where I was going to talk. Just saying. Are you done over there with the floor yet? Because I've got an hour's worth of stuff to go through.
You only got 10 minutes according to our last memo. Go ahead. I
Again, really? Shut
the floor.
No, really, I'll wait till you're done. 3 points.
Oh boy.
One, just a caution around email chains. I know that with the gentleman that we're here talking about, Casey Lake, just please be careful about the open meeting laws. Just make sure there's never a consensus of members on an email chain if you're talking about stuff. That's a big no-no. Even communication that goes out about, where to have the meeting, when to have the meeting.
So,
Really?
so
what
a
we did
reply all
today?
isn't kind of a no-no.
I don't know the whole rules. I just don't respond to anything I ever get in my
But
inbox.
today, changing the meeting. Oh.
But I don't know if all those emails. I think that's probably you're not making a decision on anything other than to have where the meeting is. I
Right.
think you're
Right.
probably okay
Yeah.
there. But
Yeah.
if you're making recommendations to have a company come in and dredge and there's more than 5 of you on an email, that's considered an open meeting and in violation of open meeting law. So just
Yeah.
I think when Jason Zemer was city manager, he really called us out on that. Remember?
I
Lloyd?
sent out an email and said, can we all vote on something?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I
sure.
think
Yeah,
we're
well,
kind
I
of
remember
aware.
that.
Yeah.
So-
well then why don't we select whoever to be
That would be
Rebecca?
me.
It'd be Lisa.
That would be
Lisa.
me.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with this watershed thing, and it's because I don't think Heather or I or Larry can do anything about it,
Okay.
because they're not,
Okay,
the
so
watershed
you're
doesn't
in.
give a shit about what we have to say. They care about what
I mean, we
Lisa's
have-
representative.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we
Right.
We
want,
don't have any authority to.
so
No,
we
you can be a
need to
good-
backtrack and say, tell Jim that he needs to talk to you?
No, no.
Yeah,
I mean,
Jim
they
knows
can-
that.
They can
There's-
share their concerns with the 3 liaisons, that's fine, but
And then we just give it to Lisa.
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
know that they're, you, like you're
But if
said,
we have
probably
more than-
Right.
Yeah, that I'm
So,
the point of
what you're saying,
contact
you know,
between
if
the
we
watershed
have 5
and.
of them on that email from this commission, that would be a no-no?
Probably.
Okay,
If
so
you're making
we've got
any
3 of them, we're good.
decisions.
Okay.
I don't know who's gonna come down on ya. I just know within council, it's a big deal.
Yeah, okay.
Soren came in and gave,
So 5 is our magic
did a
number, don't have
workshop
5
and,
Okay.
so,
Remember
point,
that with Jason.
point,
Okay, any,
point 2?
point 2, page 2, Paul.
The packets that were handed out, Carrie did a ton of changes. It's black and white, but if you go online, the red line changes to a lot of the park and rec policies, and she kind of took a stab at a lot of that stuff. So just in advance for next month's meeting,
On
read
this one.
through it or go online and look at the recommendations she's made, because she did put a lot of time and energy into
Yeah,
it.
we
So
did. Yeah, we have read.
okay, I didn't know if you got black and white or a
That's
color
red.
copy.
That's in this one.
The third and final thing that I have, I was contacted by a resident regarding an Eagle Scout project. The request was, can the Eagle Scout, I don't know what you call an Eagle candidate,
Yeah,
if they're not there yet,
Yeah.
yeah.
is asking to bypass the Park and Rec Commission and go straight to council based on timing, because the projects all have to be completed prior to their 18th birthday, and there was concern that the project, if they had to wait yet another month, because it wouldn't have been for this meeting, it would be the end of September.
And it still may be with what's on the agenda for council.
Mhm.
Think about that.
For the 7th, yes, for the
So we're making-
17th.
They want us to make an exception.
So what the project is, the Eagle Scout project is going to, the individual is going to construct 6 wood duck houses from reclaimed wooden pallets. So it doesn't appear that there's any financial burden on the city. The only ask of the city is the direction they would like to put 4 at Casey and 2 at Southwood. 4 and 3 is 6. 4 and 2. So they would like to put 2 down at Southwood. But so my ask is the PNR okay with having the individual go to council? And to your point, there's a whole lot of stuff already on the 17th, so he might not make that time yet either. But there's still 3 council meetings before the next Park and Rec meeting. So I said I would bring it up in here for you guys to give me guidance, and if we're comfortable with it, we can have it done. But I didn't want, part of the learning process for the Eagle Scout is presentations.
Mm-hmm.
So I still really would like the candidate or the individual to come back and present to the group.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
good.
that-
Let's-
that's a good idea.
Definitely.
And I would say, let's make it a one-time exception, like, I can, this is fine, but I wouldn't take it away entirely, because then we don't have any say over what's going where.
Wholeheartedly agreed, and that's why I said I can't make that decision. I would come ask you if
Yeah.
you were comfortable with it.
Yeah.
This isn't just something
Yeah.
that Tim can say, "Yep, we're gonna do it," and
Yeah.
we go past it. So I wanted
Yeah.
to bring it up to you guys for guidance and direction first.
Okay.
And require him to come back
Yeah.
after,
Yeah.
give us a presentation.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
You did Robbie when he did the Chimney Swift project.
Yeah.
I bet I sat through his presentation 4 times. He got good at the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
yeah,
really,
yeah,
truly did.
Yeah.
Mom hardly talked. And it was, and when it was all over with, I applauded him for how he has grown through this project,
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily the project; it's the steps that have to be made
Right.
up to the
Right.
conclusion of the project. That's why I don't want to have him skip this step, but if he can leapfrog ahead of it and then come back.
When's he gonna come back?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I would assume September,
Okay.
but he wanted to get, there's 3 council meetings between now and the next,
Okay.
and the next PNR meeting, so that
Does
was.
the troop know that this is an exception to the rule, and normally we want?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll give Dave a call back, who presented it to me. He's evidently the I was never a scout guy, so I'm horrible. He's not the headmaster, but he's like the
Leader?
guy helping him do it. I don't know.
Sure. And then
So-
ask him why he procrastinated so long to wait this
Right.
Well,
Well, that would be
me,
my
dead structure and process guy. Yeah, what the hell did you wait so long for?
Yeah.
But so does that need to be voted on? Does it need? Do you? I mean, how formal do you guys want to be?
You guys okay with it?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Okay, go with it.
Okay.
So I'll have.
Make the call to Kathy Trundle. When
I
she
haven't
sees
seen
what
her
the-
in forever.
I know.
Yeah, we haven't seen her.
Well, yeah,
Sorry, I
that
had
was
a
the other
dog
thing.
derail.
At least you might wanna let her know that.
I'm teasing.
Oh,
She's
okay,
not
good.
Is that the park he's putting them in?
Yeah.
One
Do
of
you know
them.
do you know who Dave Nelson is?
Yes.
Okay, so Dave is the mentor, for lack of a better
Oh,
word,
okay.
for the.
Oh, so Dave will be
Yeah.
working on
So
him with
Dave's
his wood
Dave's
deck.
the one who reached out to me.
Got it.
And so he's working with this Eagle Scout candidate to get it done.
Okay.
And he led a very impassioned statement at the last council meeting on what's going on at Southwood anyways, with the spraying and
Yeah.
everything else and the killing of the weeds, and so he's very, very impassioned with our parks.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he is.
Didn't we have Southwood come in every quarter?
I thought so.
She used
Kathy was here every
So
meeting.
Kathy used to come in.
Do we wanna still do that, or we just wanna leave it alone?
So I'm done. But on that point, Kathy used to come in to have a budget approved, and we've yet to. I'm assuming we're spending money. We never approved a budget for this year that I'm aware of.
Well, who are they coming to for money?
Yeah, because our hands are tied.
Ding,
Well, yeah,
ding, ding.
It would have been a Zoom meeting, and she was never
Right.
at any of our Zoom meetings.
So
She's spending money.
I'm of the understanding that there are. I learned this last council meeting. There are people going in there and spraying for weeds. We haven't approved anything.
But I
Or
don't
I
think
shouldn't
North
say you
St.
haven't
Paul's not.
approved.
North St. Paul's not spraying. Oh, so we're contracting that out?
It was my understanding that Kathy had a contact of, I don't know who it was, that they came in and did special spraying.
Maybe they're paying for it?
So I have no idea.
I know Dave said that he personally paid for some native
Correct.
plants.
Yep. So,
Yeah, she hasn't been at a meeting.
So,
or did
should I
Kathy
get
Did
Kathy's?
Kathy retire from
No,
her
she
role?
was in not too long ago to pick up a beehive or bee house or something.
Okay.
So should I reach out to Kathy and find out who she contracted that with?
Yep.
Either that or you know somebody in Public Works.
Leave it alone.
Well, see, that's the thing. Public Works didn't do it though, so
Seriously,
I'll
who
confirm
the hell
that.
sprayed it then?
I don't know.
Maybe check with Kathy.
And where's the money coming from?
Yeah, I'll see. I'll see if I can get her contact
Yeah.
It
info.
was 8,000, wasn't it?
Anything else, sir?
No, I'm done.
Thank you. Anything
But-
else?
Just kidding.
Larry.
I had another issue about casing, and it may sound kind of funny, but I had complaints from people who live on the park about the croaking frogs in the water shed.
We should have the frogs at a meeting, right?
Well, it was all right to begin with, but it's become
It's, yeah.
deafening.
Really?
Oh
You
my
really
gosh.
can't-
Yeah.
And I
If
live
you have a
on-
house on the edge of the park, you can't have your windows open at night between May and the 1st of August.
It is.
They do it at
And
Southwood
they've
too.
sort of migrated. Now they're getting them in their yards.
Yep, and
They're
ours.
getting them up on Masabi.
We're getting them up in our yard.
I've got 'em in my yard.
Yeah, and this is. what
Had
it
them in my
started
yard
as
for
a
years,
log
but
yard. And
Oh.
if
No one's
you're
spraying
on
for
the park,
frogs?
it's terrible.
It is.
So.
And I think you're
What the hell do
probably
you
gonna
do
get a
about that?
petition from people that live on the
I
park.
have no idea what you do for frogs.
Spray for them, like find the
Isn't that a
spraying guys.
bad environmental thing if you spray for
Yeah,
frogs?
I don't know. That's a real thing. I
They
just
aren't
thought it
spraying
was-
Get a
weeds, they're
guitar and
spraying
sing
frogs.
about rainbows and
I mean, Ingrid's gonna hug the tree. What's she gonna do with the
And
frog?
I know. It'll be frogs in that tree.
We'll put a big sign up.
Chlorine kills them
Cutting
real
that
quick,
tree
I'll
down
tell you
there.
that.
I thought I saw her.
Yeah, they only did is trim it.
Well, I say you get a bunch of pool chlorine.
Well, at least
Down at the park,
The one
cottonwood.
that has been complaining.
What animal
You know,
eats frogs?
About 20 minutes, cutting a few branches off and then it left.
Nothing.
Baby Yoda?
Well, yeah, we're not supposed to cut it down. We're not gonna cut it down.
What eats frog?
Oh, are you talking about that cotton
I had
tree?
that- I had
Yeah,
that
I
problem
did,
with my
I did
pool.
put in the work order,
Yes, yeah.
and it's up to the arborist whether or
Yeah.
not they'll take it
I
down,
talked
so.
I think, is it the guy who lives like on the park, is he the city arborist?
He's the arborist,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was
Yes,
at the
Josh.
garage, he was at my garage sale along with Sue.
Did he
the
look
other
at
weekend.
that?
No, I asked him about it. I said, you're gonna have a tree situation, and he looked at me, he said, it's a healthy tree. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a risk of falling down.
Right.
There.
Yeah.
It didn't sound
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's the only
Yeah.
time that they would
Unless you
completely
trim it
remove
underneath
it.
It's a
Yeah.
slippery slope if every nuisance tree got torn down just because. Sorry. I know, I don't live under it, I know.
Come on over, Ingrid.
But I'm not the arborist. I'm glad we have a
Basically,
city
they're a
arborist.
scrub tree.
It is-
I mean,
But
they
what the
are.
hell do you do about frogs? I mean, I had a problem with my pool.
Hey, my golden
They
retriever
could fill a
had
water
one in his
jar
mouth.
down.
I'm like,
Oh, they're
Well,
everywhere.
they're.
Julie walks out the door any morning and I'll hear her go, there's a frog just waiting for
Stuck to the door frame.
Why
of
do
the
we
garage
have
when I
so
go out.
many?
Are you talking tree frogs, or
We
are
have
you
no
talking
frogs.
these green?
Maybe they're
We have
making
both,
a
but
comeback.
it's the ones down at the.
When I grew up, we used to
They're
catch
really
like
loud.
lizards or salamanders.
It happened to us one year. We didn't realize what is that, and then finally we learned it was like the frogs croaking. We didn't know what the hell it was, and it was the year I decided that I didn't need to open my pool that early. And if you don't open it up and it starts getting warm, the frogs. And I opened my pool cover, must have been millions of tadpoles swimming in my pool.
Oh, jeez. So did you just shock them with
I shocked the shit out of it, and then I had to vacuum up millions of dead frogs.
Okay.
The big ones got out.
Good thing they're
Chlorine
not
will
being
kill
big
them.
one, right?
Yeah.
But you do that tadpole stage, but they were so, it's just how quickly they.
Don't
Yeah.
Springer Spaniels like to eat those? Good set ours free.
They,
Set 'em
they,
on down for Casey
they,
then.
they,
Alright.
so the ones in our yard,
Well,
Yeah.
let's go back
their
to where
skin
we-
has
Well,
a,
the other, I mean, I
puts
think
out
you're-
just
city
a
council
horrible
has
taste.
to-
My dog will try to do something with it and immediately back off.
Oh, for
Hold on,
defense.
They're
hold
gonna
on.
get some sort of petition to have the city try to do something about it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what
Cut off
to
their
do.
food
We'll look
source.
at
This is
anything,
what you
I'm
do.
sure. I just don't know what the heck you would
I
do.
don't either. Fill it in.
Turn
I-
off outside lights at night.
Call
Lights
Dave
attract
Nelson,
bugs.
maybe.
Bugs attract frogs.
But the problem is that the people
Use
turn the
mild
lights on because
insecticides.
Crime.
crime,
Yeah.
and that's why we have keep your lights on,
Yeah.
especially on the park side.
Yeah, we do.
But it's insane, like, you know, for us too, we
Oh,
live
yeah.
across the
You
street,
leave
we have the
the window
windows open,
open.
second level, and I'm like, I can't even hear the TV, this is insane.
But if you live on the park
Yes.
near that, it's
I don't have any, do
unbelievable.
you?
We'll record it for them
Bring
sometime.
them over.
Oh,
So Larry,
frog
this is just an
removal services.
FYI that we can probably be
Oh.
expecting a
Bonding
petition.
shut up, I
We don't
just
need to
going
take
really-
action at this point, right? I mean, there's.
All right,
Okay.
Larry,
Okay.
anything else?
Thanks for the
No.
heads up.
Thanks for the frog,
Frog removal.
frog report.
Frog.
Now to
Just
sports.
set frog trap.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
Oh, there's nothing about it. Just the phone number.
Okay.
And that frogs can be
Then
used.
frog
Say what
traps,
they
and
do.
then people
Motion
use
to-
them for
Seems
fishing.
legit.
Yeah.
Motion to
Or eat
adjourn.
'em.
5 stars.
I'll make a motion to-
Self-rated.
Heather makes a motion, second.
I'll second it.
All right. Take your pick, Lisa.
Say,
All in favor, aye.
Ingrid
Aye.
Thorson
All
or
opposed.
Nancy.
Adjourned.
Sentence.
Oh,
They
my
should trust
name
him.
was Ingrid Thorson.
That's
I
right,
thought I
she
read
was
that
at
wrong,
Ingrid
and then I'm
Thorson.
like,
Okay.
Yeah,
let's
that's
read the
only.
first
Oh, I
sentence
just
of
hit,
the
I
Storm
just hit it with
storms are
my,
moving
alright,
in.
there we go.
Oh, good.
Parks are quite common in
Well,
most
not
places.
hail, but
And,
rain.
Rain.
no, you
Also,
read
I
over
think
it.
it's more north.
Instead of world, it's
We're on the edge
oh,
of tornado watch, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Who's
and
got
try-
it?
if they
Like
had
some
Word.
at
Oh,
least stayed
jeez.
there.
I read right through it.
Now they're-
I was like, well,
Migrated
that
up in the
that seems legit.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
Ian went into his,
blocks away.
Ian Leonard went into his tree.
So we've got a little brick wall on our garage, and it's brick below it and then siding above it. So there's, you know, there's a width of brick for a ledge.
Yes,
And
oh
there's
my
a pool
gosh.
on the
It's
ledge.
like, tornado
Yes.
warning.
Kelly was
Oh my gosh.
fully convinced we had mice,
Now it's
or rats, or something.
Was it,
Had
Kathy
me
and
go
Greg?
out